Right, okay. Let's stop that. Let's do a podcast about video games, shall we? Because I'm
There's your
ill.
Georgini.
And I want this. We've got a
still
lot
find him.
to talk about.
There's
You're ready?
only one game. We'll be in and out pretty quick.
Yeah, good point. Short one.
Yeah, we've got Summer Games Fest though. Oh.
For
to do that,
fuck's sake.
Everyone hit record.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my god.
Chase Varley. 3, 2, 1.
Matt.
Oh shit. Smash instead.
That's fine.
And also
That's
probably at the
fine.
wrong time, but yeah, okay.
Right, well,
Oh, you've launched a video, right? They won't be able to hear that anyway.
no, I've put us back. We're back on. Hello,
Sorry.
everyone.
Come on, are we going to redo it again?
Can we do it again? Because that was
Yeah,
really
let's
close.
redo that.
Okay.
Are we stopping?
Yeah,
and
just keep
we
it rolling. No, keep it rolling.
sorry,
No, I've
sorry.
already stopped it. Sorry.
I've already stopped
Oh,
as well.
for fuck's sake. So,
I forgot
for
that we
those
had
of
to
you
say
that
that.
didn't... Yeah. Okay.
How long have we been doing this?
I don't know. I just said Smash instead, but it went wrong.
No, you just said, "Oh shit." That's
Then after that,
I'm
I
not
said
wrong,
Smash.
though. That Tenacious D song is the best video games podcast intro music of all time, isn't it?
still not heard it.
Have you not?
Yeah, I thought it was
It's
pretty good.
really fucking good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not their biggest fan, but my word, that is a good song. Okay, right, everyone hit record. 3, 2, 1.
Matt.
Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turn. I'm here with James Farley,
Hello.
Sean Bell,
Hello.
and Matt Murray.
Hello.
We're going to start the show by thanking our Patreon producers, the Full Nels crew. This month they are the QuickBooks chap, Simon Nelson, Moomin Biscuit, Trans Rights and Human Rights, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gasman, Rocketman76, Grey Dragon Claw, Smooth Monkey, Colin Smith, Richard Sawyer, John Tempelli, Jackie Sniper, Gordon Garrow, Safers Records, Sam Higton, Freelance Police, Jonathan Edwards, and happy birthday, James S. from Tom S. They're the Full Nels crew. They went Full Nels, and you can do too by going to patreon.com/TCGS. That's becoming a bit of a catchphrase, isn't it? I only realise that I say that pretty much every week. It rhymes, it's catchy, love all that. Don't have to go Full Nels. There are various different tiers there, and we really do appreciate the support. Honestly, it means it keeps us going. It keeps the podcast going. So if you want to keep the podcast going, then please do go to patreon.com/TCGS to see what's on offer. We're
And if
hopefully
you,
doing a bonus show this week. You get
Yep.
2 bonus shows this month.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my
bonus
god,
show.
the bonus show with
You'll get the
James's...
bonus pod and the bonus pod. James is going to edit
Can't
the
wait.
shorter version.
Yeah.
And we're going to see how that comes out. I'm got
nervous.
my faith in you, actually.
I'm nervous.
not. James is going to smash it. He knows what he's doing.
That would be the best thing ever. That would be the greatest news of all time.
Yeah, because then we got another editor on the show.
Yeah, James on full-time
Um,
editing duties. I love that.
We got a big announcement this week. Big announcement. TCGS Con North. Tickets are going on sale Friday 19th at 9 a.m. If you go to tcgs.co/TCGSCon on Friday 19th at 9 a.m., you will be able to get your tickets for TCGS Con North. That's Laser Quest. That's mini golf. That's in the Quizzing Live up in Sunderland. Laser Quest.
It's meet and greet. It's drinks.
It is.
It's
It's
punching.
it's yeah, lots and lots of kissing.
No, not lots of kissing.
Okay,
You bet.
some kissing. Oh, it's just be kissing, James.
Didn't
But
agree
if you want to
that.
see that, well, you didn't have a choice, baby. Tickets are £20, and all of that stuff's included. So please come along. We would love to see you there. We're gonna have a whale of a time. And I cannot wait to see. I mean, I think it's okay to say this, right? That
Mm.
Sean sent us a long voice note while he was driving in his car a few days
It was
ago.
like
going,
6 minutes long or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically came up with about 9 ideas for in the Cuisining Live, and then went back on each of those ideas and said, no, actually, we'll do it like this. No, I'm thinking about this actually. So
What I was doing was presenting the pros and cons of each idea. It's just that unfortunately there's an equal amount of pros and cons for every idea I've had so far. It'll be fine.
with a little glazing of ADHD over all of it. So
Slight flavouring of ADHD. I love that.
There were tangents in that voice note. There were tangents. It was quite.
No, have you not heard ADHD's made up? Panorama have done a thing on it.
I did see that this week. Yeah,
anyone can get a diagnosis. It's not real.
Yeah, because if there's one thing that Panorama should be focusing on right now, it's ADHD
100%.
and not
nothing
the
else.
various scandals that are
going on. No.
around the world. I wish they did a whole panorama on Kane and Rinse and how actually no one listens to it because it's too dry.
That would be
I'd
good.
watch that
Inflating the
one.
numbers.
Yeah, if you
absolutely
need...
bury the podcast.
So that's our news. tcgs.co/TCGSCon, Friday the 19th at 9 a.m. Please come and join us. Honestly, I can't wait to meet you all.
Yeah, last year was amazing.
That sounds sincere?
Yeah, no, pretty much. Last year was really good fun.
It was brilliant.
And it was our first one, so I can't wait for this one. Can't wait to meet everyone. Everyone we met was awesome. We, went out afterwards till dancing and all sorts. So let's see what Sunderland has to offer. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing that we haven't
Sounds
really
like a challenge.
discussed. Yeah,
Come on, bring it on, Sunderland.
Go on, Sunderland, you stupid.
Here's the thing that we haven't really discussed, but the Laser Quest, right? I mean, Laser Quest was amazing last year. It was so much fun. But there's going to be a bit of revenge. Matt's going to be out for revenge this year, isn't he?
I'm going to fuck you up, David.
You're going to try.
You and the entire team.
You said that before the final.
You and everyone who was like, oh, Matt, you lost. Oh, I remember those faces. I remember those names.
They might be on your team though this year.
Even if that's the case.
I was going to say we can't guarantee we've got the same teams. I'm pretty sure Dave will be all right. Whereas I'll be like running around finding all the people who were on my team last time. Yeah, come on, guys, do you want to join up again? They're like, yeah, no, I'm all right. I'm gonna go with what else? I don't know.
Actually, I didn't get tickets for this one because just in case there's a risk of me being on the same side.
I'm gonna go home. Actually,
listen, I we've already won it, so I'm happy. Pressure's off me and my team. We've already won it, so I've got the trophy. I've got nothing to prove. If one of you guys win it, all the better.
Mind games early on.
I'm hoping that Matt gets loads of people from your team, Dave, and then when he loses, inevitably he's going to be like talking about traitors in the team.
Well, no, I don't need people from David's team. My own team, we've actually been training for a few weeks now, just on the off chance. So meeting up on weekends, just doing some drills. We're quite looking forward to it.
I'm definitely going to talk to Laser Quest in Sunderland to make sure that there's no dodgy gun that Matt has the knowledge about early doors.
It wasn't really my fault. It was given to me, and I felt rude to say no.
Right. Okay. Interesting. All right. Interesting.
Gun 10.
Gun 10. Should we get to feedback from last week's show, Matt? They all love it, did they?
They did. We're going to start with Lynn's. My question is about Matt. Oh, hang on.
Have you pre-read this? You haven't pre-read this?
No, I didn't.
So it starts like that, but it's not a question.
Okay. My question is about Matt's Strava challenge that was discussed in the pod last week. I heard you trying to claim it was a draw, and I can clarify that's simply not the case. I did end the challenge early, and it was near the point where the scores were even, except I was 20 kilometers ahead, and I purely ended it to save him from the embarrassment of losing, also to save him from dying trying to win. Yeah, I didn't know this was going to be in it, but
no, but Linz, can I just say, literally no one in the world thinks that that was a draw. No one does, right? Matt was trying to. Don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, I can. I had people at work messaging saying, "Ha, why are you lying on the podcast?" I was like, "I wasn't fucking lying on the podcast. It was a draw."
Why are you lying on the podcast? Why did everyone see through it immediately?
Yeah, why did everyone believe you're a lying twat? Anyway, that's uncalled for. So
officially, that has been confirmed now that Matt Murray is full of shit. If anyone from Matt's workplace wants to email him as soon as you hear this, saying you're full of shit, Matt, then please go for it. You're full of
No.
shit.
Ages ago, you asked John, who I work with, who's like a long time listener, like to email when I did some fucked up shit. And even like a few weeks ago, it's like, Matt, I'm still waiting. Anyway, I'm trying to be good
Still
in front
waiting
of.
for you to do fucked up shit?
He's still waiting for me to do something so bad that he can email into the show. But I'm
Surely it's a daily occurrence for you. I don't believe
I'm
that.
trying
I
my
don't
best
believe
behaviour
He's
that.
work.
professional, Dave. He's professional.
Right.
Yes, I'm a goddamn professional.
You
Yeah.
reckon? You reckon?
Let's move on. Lee Davies, hi chaps, just a bit of feedback about playing Mario Kart with your kids. Whenever I play with my 6-year-old, I play on 100cc, but rather than just letting her beat me, I try to ensure she wins by defending her from incoming attacks and fighting off anyone who tries to pass me in second place. This is way harder than winning races, as she is so shit at the game and much more fun than simply letting her finish in front of me. That's great.
Really
That's a
good.
whole new level of...
That is really good. I'm gonna have to
protection.
try
I love
Acting
that.
like a bodyguard throughout the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah,
thing.
that sounds really
But
fun.
then what happens? What happens when she gets power ups though? She just blasts.
That's
blast
true,
them
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of, yeah.
Please
It's
don't
like,
shoot me.
motherfucker. Yeah, I can't do it. I get so bored. I have to nail those drifts and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'd rather just stick it on team play. But your mode sounds better. Sounds way better.
It does sound
Love
really
that.
good.
Yeah, Florella, re-unpatched games, because last week someone said they haven't patched a game for 10 years or some bollocks. Re-unpatched games. Hello, boys. Since I play exactly 0 multiplayer games, I too have stopped patching my games. It's not for the faint of heart. This cannot be a real thing. I was convinced last week it was a
It's not
joke
a real
anyway.
thing. They're fucking around, surely.
I reckon
This
it's a real
isn't
thing.
real.
I reckon it's real.
No,
This
it
makes
can't
no
be.
sense.
Why
not?
wouldn't like so many just auto? Why wouldn't you just patch the game? What's the issue?
Well, some people they may just think, oh, it's working all right for me. Why do I need to patch it?
Maybe these are
Because-
probably the same
yeah,
people
but
that have
how do you
like.
stop it patching it? If you connect it to the internet, that's it, right? So, and most of these games you need to download after the fucking game.
Because
Yeah.
you can set it up to like not also update things and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you can do that.
Do you think they get really
James,
annoyed
James,
when someone
James,
patches
James.
by accident?
Hold on,
I
whoa,
don't
whoa,
do
whoa.
this. No, this is not my
James, are
thing.
you a no patcher?
No, I'm not
Is
a no
this-
patcher.
He's a no
It sounds
patcher.
like you're a no patcher, mate.
Actually,
He's an anti-patcher.
I'm a fanatical
anti-patcher?
patcher. Actually, I'm a big fan of updates and patches. So
No,
yeah.
it sounds like you're double backing on yourself there.
Yeah,
I think you might be an anti-patcher.
he's an
But
anti-patcher. We've got one.
That is that's straight. What? Just out of interest, James. Just the first answer that comes into your head. You don't. What shape is the world?
Mm.
I mean, it's a very
Oh,
complicated question, David.
Hesitation. Hesitation.
I've
seen
more
some-
research needs to be done. I think.
Yeah, I've seen some YouTube videos, and they're very
Oh, yeah.
different. You know.
Some interesting
Oh
theories.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
I
not
would
all
love it
crackpots.
so much.
Some of them are real people.
They're very nice. Yeah,
How
they're really
much?
lovely people.
How much would you love it if James left the show, look, based on this conversation, and started his own
Fan.
gaming shot podcast, but it's literally just Infowars. Like that's it. James Farley every
Yeah,
week
so-
sitting there.
You just
Kicking off
figured
the
out where
bat.
the money is.
But no,
Yeah.
the problem with that is
Right.
I have not got the energy to do those like Alex Jones style rants. You know, that
Oh
just,
my
like,
God,
I couldn't do
I
that.
bet you fucking have.
No, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, you have. If you get going, you're one of those. It's like a boulder pushing it down a hill. It's really hard to move
Yeah.
initially, but once it rolls, you better get out of its way.
I'll be sitting there all red, like my face all red, and just getting more irate about it.
Slamming a desk
Yeah.
with a green screen background of an office, like a big old office.
And then
Can we
selling,
have
and then
the-
selling like energy pills.
I was
you
going
know?
to say, can we have the before and after diet pills?
Yeah,
shot as
exactly.
well?
Yeah.
That would be some YouTube series, wasn't it, for our YouTube channel? If we did like a James's like Infowars, and it's just him like slamming his it and talking about how the corporations are trying to shut down the merger of Microsoft and,
Yeah.
because there's some sort of conspiracy theory.
It would be
I
quite,
love
quite a left, sideways move for James, but I'll be up for it. If it brings in the numbers,
Just stuff like
do
you
it,
know,
James.
The Dreamcast never existed. You know, it's like it never.
that. We've only just seen the pictures of the Dreamcast.
So I've
I
never
never
seen
actually
one,
owned
so it's not real. It's
Okay, next one.
Okay.
Rafi. Hey guys, just a bit of feedback after hearing Sean say that he hated Goat Simulator. I'll be honest, the original drove me absolutely insane, but the sequel isn't actually that bad. It's a huge single map, and it fixed many of the issues I had with the original, where controlling the goat felt clumsy and irritating. It even has the Mario triple jump set radio grinding. Mario
I think
triple
that's supposed
jump.
to be two separate. Yeah, just
Yeah.
Mario triple jump and Jet Set Radio Grinding.
I was like, wow, the Mario triple jump jet set radio grinding. This sounds incredible. Okay.
Yeah, it's the new
Secret
move.
tech
It's
is-
the new
Yeah.
move that all the kids are using. Standing on
It's
top
not
of
mind blowing by any means, but in terms of the presentation and feel, I feel like they've learned a huge ton of things and they just improved it. And if it ever gets cheap or on a subscription service like Game Pass, it's well worth a try. Thanks for all your feedback on weird gaming habits with the kids. I am genuinely concerned after hearing the audio David played on the show, but it was funny, so silver lining.
Sean, thoughts?
Yeah, I suppose if it ends up
Here we
on
go,
Game
here we
Pass,
go.
I mean, Isaac will fucking love it. So
Here we go.
I mean,
Listen.
even though I hated the original, it's worth it just to like hear the way Isaac was laughing at it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just
Rafi, just so you know, Sean didn't hate it because of the reasons he said last week. He hated it because it was so popular. And
Yeah, it got too big.
It's
too big too soon.
But it's one of those, isn't it? It's obviously it has done incredibly well. But like, do you know anyone who's just like, mate, you got to fucking play Goat Simulator? Fuck me. Oh, it's hilarious.
This guy that's written in.
Yeah, Rafi. Rafi never stops talking about it, does he? Sick of it.
Rafi, massive. I started to think Rafi might have worked on the game. What about
Oh,
that?
yeah, he might be head of
Stick
Goat
that in your
Simulator.
info war.
mocap.
Stick that in
Yeah.
your info wars, James.
Okay,
Next
Brad
step from the Fantasy
Brad-
Zone to Info Wars.
Yeah, we haven't had a fancy zone in ages, have we, James? What's up with that?
No, there hasn't been anything interesting. That's why I only select the choicest cuts for that.
Of
And
course,
then-
yeah.
Lack of whimsy
done.
in the gaming news world. the last
It's,
few
it's
months.
whether you remember to go onto a dodgy internet forum to look for
Yeah.
it. That's what happens.
Or
That's
whether
the
I've sent you a
difference
tweet.
there.
Brad from Iowa. Hey guys, or hey fellas, sorry. To add to your discussion about inconsistently named entries in a franchise, I present to you the titles of the five Rambo movies. First Blood.
Five random movies.
Okay, I present to you the titles of the 5 Rambo movies. First Blood, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, Rambo, Rambo Last Blood.
I mean, at
Keep
least
up
they've
the
kept
wonderful
the
work.
First Blood, Last Blood business. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Sorry, go
that's
on.
pretty good. Fresh blood next, please. Well, that's what I want the next one to be. New
Might put
blood.
Some more blood, actually. Sorry.
Someone get rid of the blood.
Keep up the wonderful work. I'm eagerly awaiting the announcement of TCGS Con West. We have a wonderful laser tag place here in Des Moines.
Oh man.
Oh
Fucking-
man, would you just love
Go on.
to be big enough to do one in America?
Just
if
do it
we were
anyway.
big enough to-
TCGS does America. That would be incredible.
Let's just do
What
it
a- what a
anyway. and see what happens.
documentary.
Yeah.
And when we
Oh.
get to the venue and there's like 3 people there, all right, Brad, how's it going?
Nah,
I only know
more
of
than that.
Des Moines from 2. I was going to say 2 people, but travel writer Bill Bryson and Slipknot,
Yeah, I
The
was going to say
band.
Slipknot. Yeah, that's where they're from. Yeah.
and they all fucking hate the place.
Right.
Sorry, Brad. Is it as bad as everyone says?
Do you know
please let us
Slipknot?
know. Yeah,
Brad?
do you know Slipknot or Bill?
Are you
Bryson?
from Slipknot, Brad?
It could be. They're all. Well, they don't
Are
wear
you-
the masks anymore, do they? They
Yeah,
finally.
he is Corey Taylor. Okay. This is from J Swab 1991. Dear TCGS Copper Mundial football boots. Mundial?
Okay.
Mundial? Yeah.
I assumed you
promised-
guys would get that. I have no idea, obviously.
I mean, I know what Mundial football boots are, but I wasn't sure if I mispronounced it. I promised I'd write in after mentioning in the I promised I'd write in after mentioning in the stream chat for the recording of last week's pod. Fucking hell, I'll start again. I promised I'd write in after mentioning in the stream chat for the recording of last week's pod the details of when you were bigged up by the IGN UK podcast, which
Oh,
turned me
that's
on
right.
to you guys when I started listening to them a couple of years ago. I have to
Yeah.
apologise to Dave. I'm
Okay.
still trying to find the exact pod where I was on about. But I don't have as good as memory as Scientologist, who said Joe Screbbles has given the show a mention before, and I actually found that while listening back to an episode that included Windjammers 2, which was the IGN UK pod 628 Operation What's It Rescue, at the 19 minutes and 7 mark, where Joe Screbbles mentioned it was Sean who introduced him to the first game. Also, apologies to Sean for saying in chat that someone's been listening to the IGN pod, like he's not capable of forming his own opinions. Not quite how I intended that to sound, so rest assured I gave myself a good talking to after that, and revising methods of how to interact with others socially online.
I'll be honest, right? You did sound pissed off with that comment.
I didn't mean to.
You reacted badly to it, I think.
I felt like I was responding with the same sort of jokey energy, but maybe I took it
that's
too
right,
far.
Come across. No, you sounded fuming.
Very
Fuming.
serious.
Did not mean to. Sorry, J Swab.
It was that.
You
It was only WhatsApp messages afterwards. You know. It was...
Yeah.
Yeah,
the,
if
The
anyone
drawings
hates
I
any-
did of me killing him.
Yeah.
Anyone
Stop it.
hears any mention of us on a podcast, then please do send us the clip. We will play it on the show. Like we've done that before. We will do it again.
we will
We
do it
will
again.
play it on the
Yeah.
show.
Plus our egos need it.
Oh,
Because
God.
we
We're
usually have no
desperate for
idea.
that.
Because it's not like obviously I'm mates with Joe, but it's not like he texts me and he's like, "Oh, I gave you a shout out this week, so check the numbers when you put another episode up." Maybe. Like that conversation doesn't take place. So yeah, please do tell us.
Maybe he could do it more though.
Yeah, that would be nice.
obviously
Every
helps, but
week,
he's not
maybe.
an IGN anymore. He's just an Xbox lad now.
Even better.
He's
Oh,
useless to us.
But put out an Xbox Wire blog saying computer game shows out, isn't it?
Yeah, no one's got an Xbox these days. So it's
There's a really great
failing empire that one is.
There's a really get in-depth conversation about the acquisition from Mr. James Farley.
A bit of admin here, Matt. But did you submit us for the podcast awards this year?
I didn't know. No, I
Oh,
didn't know.
what?
It
I
costs
was
yeah.
like
I was
20
excited for the
quid.
Nominations.
Well, it's a
that's
time.
alright.
and
In
just-
this
yeah.
economy, I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point.
I will do that
Good
one year.
point.
Just could not be bothered. I'll see
Okay,
what's the
couldn't
point.
be bothered.
LB007. Hey lads, just want to say massive thank you for the past few weeks. Listening to your show has helped me smile for a time where I didn't know it was a possibility. My fiance fell incredibly sick with an infection that nearly took her life, just 6 days after giving birth to our firstborn. Throw me in the deep end of parenthood and a fear that I may never see her again. Thankfully, she is okay now and on the mend and looking to go home soon after nearly 2 weeks of hospitalisation. So I want to say thanks for all the laughs and the distractions. Keep doing what you're doing, boys. Love the show.
fuck, man,
Mate.
that is Jesus, that is a lot.
Never know who's
Um,
listening, do you? That's
yeah.
why I'm always polite. Because you
Yeah.
never know who's listening.
Yeah, you never
Always.
make fun of anyone
know
who
what I mean?
sends stuff in about.
Absolutely, that's never happened
Yeah.
before.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, we're
thanks
we're
for sending
happy
that
to
in.
help.
Yes, I really appreciate you sending that in. That's man, that must have been fucking unbelievable. I'm really glad she's okay as well. I mean, yeah, fucking hell, like parenthood when there's two of you is bad enough in the early days. So I can only imagine.
Yeah,
My
it's,
words. Shout out to single parents, 100%.
Yeah,
That is,
fuck,
I don't know. I do not know how you do it. Also, if you've got twins, I do not know how you do it. Also, if you're trying to be a parent and you're going through some sort of major trauma or a horrible event, do not know how you do it. Shout out. We're behind you 100%.
Yeah, it's amazing that like the podcast can help so many people, and I guess patreon.com/TCGS LB.
Whoa!
When you-
If you really want to say thanks,
that
When
is
you, if
Pony
you
up.
really want to, I'm just saying,
Wow.
if you want to,
okay.
an email's
oh,
nice.
James is actually
sure.
uncomfortable. That's
That
Yeah,
did make me
that's
quite
the-
uncomfortable. Yeah.
That's the first time James has ever shown any emotion.
Wow.
So,
We
he wasn't
did it.
even sad about the story. He was just, but now this is finally.
Yes. Okay. Thomas O'Malley. I noticed Sean used the phrase "dead cat" in last week's podcast. I believe this was used in wrong context and was actually a Freudian slip. Sure.
Incorrect. No, it's a thing. The only reason I stumbled because I got confused because there's two uses of dead cat. One is the dead cat strategy of going like, oh, here's something else to distract.
Yeah,
them
look at
from being
this.
really bad.
yeah, it's a
And there's
distraction
also
technique.
the little foam of hair for like throw things that sit on microphones to as like a windbreak. They're called they
I've
are
never heard
informally
that.
called dead cats.
Oh, they got dead cats.
I've never
okay.
heard
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's a thing.
But yeah, I've heard the distraction technique because that was doing the rounds a few years ago with old Bojo, wasn't it?
yeah.
Ooh,
Uh,
Bojo,
was
yes.
using that. No, sleeping policeman's the one that you don't hear anymore, is it? That was always big in the 90s. No one calls them that anymore.
What for road humps?
Yeah, it was speed bumps. Yeah,
Speed bumps.
road
My-
humps.
I was gonna
My lovely,
say, that
my
sounds
lovely
like
road
something
humps. I don't know. That's just what
It's a
came
lovely
to
old
mind.
road hump.
That's what,
No,
that's what
they
came to
said-
I
mind.
love a cheeky.
Well, the
road
joke
hump.
was they don't call them sleeping policemen anymore because people sped up. that was the joke that I had.
Ah, that's it.
But that was, I know, tasteless.
Political.
But the I remember them being called sleeping policemen when I was a kid, but they don't call them that no more, do they?
No.
Odd.
I mean,
No.
it never made sense, did it? It's not like you
Was
look
it-
at
do
it.
they
It's not like
have-
you'd look at it and be like, "Oh, actually, yeah, I can see
See the resemblance.
resemblance
To a
actually."
copper.
yeah. James, do they have speed humps in Germany?
I don't know because I've not driven since I've been
Honestly,
here.
he doesn't live there, does
What have
he?
you ever seen
doesn't
one,
live
James?
there.
You've been here for ages. You've never seen a speed
He's
hump.
like
Walks
big
around
one.
with his
What
eyes
are they called?
closed.
No, I'm just thinking about it. I mean, what? Yeah, no, I ride a bike, and it's like I've not really noticed any.
But are you on the
recently.
roads, James?
Yeah, of course. But I've not noticed any around where I live. But that doesn't mean that I can speak for the entire country as to whether they have them or
Matt,
not.
here's a theory for InfoWars TCGS
Yeah.
series. James Farley got freaked out when we started mentioning that he lived in Canterbury, that he
Mhm.
moved to a flat in Canterbury and fabricated this whole Germany thing
Yep.
so that we didn't know that he was
Made
actually
up.
in Canterbury.
Yeah. Just so we stop
Completely
mentioning the
made
word
up.
Importing
Canterbury.
cans of like Coke Zero with Noel Zucker.
Well, that
on
just
to-
says
No
zero
advertising,
sugar.
James.
Why would a
Canterbury.
Why would a German
Of
can
Coca-Cola.
say zero sugar
It
across?
doesn't.
Yeah.
It says Noel Zucker.
When-
It does. It says
Noel
zero sugar.
Zuckerberg.
Smaller
You're just
writing.
lying now.
I think you just got that from Costco or something.
Yeah.
honestly,
A
honestly,
cheap lot on Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh, it says Noel Zucker. It's fine.
Because there's no way you would send your wife over to London to pick up the PSVR,
She
right?
was going
Yeah.
you
there
haven't
anyway.
used after launch.
Yeah, she was going there anyway because it was an hour on a train.
Yeah,
No,
because she's in
it's-
Canterbury.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, but what if they
It's all
ask us
coming
questions
together.
about this Germany shit you've made up? What are we gonna
Did he get through customs? Yeah, fine.
Yeah, away, yeah.
Oh yeah, we're on to you, James.
Yeah,
We're
that's
on to
definitely what it
you.
is. Yeah.
Right, Haribo
Okay.
Cart. Sup, TCGS gangsters. Are we going to see Sean put his cooking skills to use and give us a deep dive on Come Dine With Me? I think the world needs it. We've never even played fucking
Mine with me.
Minecraft. Thanks for everything. Peace.
It's come mine with me.
Oh,
That's
yeah, I
the
meant that, yeah.
thing. we
You're
I mean,
right,
we saw the
Matt.
trailer for this.
No.
I don't really understand how it works, but I'm fucking intrigued.
What is come mine with me? Go on.
So, it's a Minecraft.
Oh, it's the
mod.
Minecraft thing, right?
Yeah, it's a
that's-
mod where
yeah.
you play in inverted commas. Come dine with me with like some of your mates, but I don't understand on what level. Like, is that just pure role playing? But in that case, why is it a mod? Do you know what I mean? I need to.
I mean,
look
there are
into it.
recipes in that game, aren't there?
I suppose. Yeah. You can
Yeah,
actually
no,
make
but how
stuff.
can
But
you
then,
turn around and go, "Oh yeah, this is good."
Yeah,
what,
I
what
don't-
do you?
yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them looks better than another one or something. I don't know.
Isn't it all about the entertainment anyway on Come Dine With Me? So it's less about the food and more like how have you
Yeah,
entertained
I
the guests for the
guess.
evening, you know?
Yeah. So
There's loads
it's
of
more
creepers
like,
outside and you get to bash
Yeah,
them,
so
I don't know.
it's, I guess So it's like hey, everyone, come into my house that I've built and
Yeah, and look at the
look how
house,
cool
how
it is.
spectacular it looks. It's underwater.
Yeah,
you know.
but it still
Fuck
just
off,
feels like it must be like 90% just you role playing and sort of buying into it rather. Like, I don't understand why it's a mod. That's what intrigues me. But yeah, I'm definitely curious.
Got a scooter, innit? I that's the one thing that I really am upset about, the fact that we don't live near each other.
Mhm.
We can't do that. I love to do Come Dine With Me with the four of us and film it and all that.
God,
It'd be
that would
so
be
good.
fucking brilliant.
James
That
with his
will be
smart
brilliant, yeah.
ketchup spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah.
Sean
Stick
with
some
his
bratwurst in there.
Sean with his sausage rolls cooked in cola.
Knock it till you've tried it, mate.
Matt going on several different. He's earning a Michelin star just for the night.
Yes.
He doesn't want to lose, and
Whatever
then
it
dropping
takes.
his plate as he's walking to the table.
That's a Sean thing. Dropping the food.
Okay.
See, I can
100
imagine that, and then like David, you just do pizza or something, and then we all
Yeah,
just
just do it-
prefer
order
it.
Domino's.
And we're just like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just,
just
just
better,
tastes
yeah.
nicer.
Actually, this is
It's
better,
better,
isn't it? Yeah.
This is brilliant.
Zero fat.
Yeah.
Cheeseburger pizza, I'm in.
But his boys' entertainment was watching the semi-final of the FA Cup in 2004. So he loses a few points for that. Yeah, no, we should absolutely do that if we're ever living within touching distance. Which,
Yeah.
after hearing what James has been up to, is probably actually closer than we think.
Yeah,
Yep.
not that far away.
He's actually. He told me not to mention this. He's actually staying in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Sean moves his camera. Yeah. Okay. 100 dozen fractured soup mugs. If Sean isn't going to spend 400 quid on a toy robot and its little dollhouse, then what the heck am I paying into his Patreon for?
It's a valid question.
Point.
I mean,
This is about the Armored Core
yeah.
special editions. I looked
Special
into
edition.
it in a week, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what is this garage?" It literally is just like an extra bit of plastic in it above the mech.
Yep. It's genuinely, if I thought we'd get 400 quid's worth of content out of it, I would actually consider it. But it would just be like, it would just be a video.
Well,
of me
just
going,
do
"Hey,
like
go
a
there,
naked
it's not-"
unboxing, Sean.
Yeah, it's true.
Naked unboxing for patrons only. We'll get 400 quid easy.
With some strategically placed balloons. I think it'd be great.
Or I could just, if you're wondering how large this is, here's
Here's the scale. It is tiny.
As you can see, the robot looks quite big.
It is tiny.
Okay.
Right, Rogie, I need to say a few thank yous. I ran the Rob Burrow Leeds Marathon on Sunday in silly heat and up some massive hills. We were running for Rob, and the race is all about mates helping mates. This leads to my second thank you to the virtual mates in the super supportive, lovely TCGS community, and in particular the new Strava group. The messages and the kind donations meant the world, and we've been fortunate to raise just over £2,000 to support motor neuron disease research. Many, many thanks. I'm now going to have a long sit down in front of Tears of the Kingdom. Love and hugs from Rogie.
Well done, Rogie. Big
Yeah,
up,
killing
big
it
up.
as ever. The Strava group's been a massive success. Last I checked, I had like 70 or people in there.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, I haven't done anything or been anywhere yet. So I had to the other day. I had to walk into town, and I thought it might be funny to like log it as like walk to Greg's. I didn't go to Greg's, but yeah, it's really nice. Everyone's lovely.
I'm
on
doing
there.
a 25k walk across London in September, I think it is. Don't you worry, I'll be posting the Just Giving everywhere. I expect you all to pay up to make me look
At
good in
least
front of other
£2,000.
young people. But I'm absolutely really intimidated by that.
I'll tell you what, you need to prepare your feet for that, because I did the same thing in Shanghai once, and it was awful. Like the next day afterwards, I've never felt pain in my feet like that before. Like after doing that,
I still think the worst thing I've ever lived through was that we found out it was a 7k marathon thing last year. We didn't even get sponsorship for it. It was stupid, really. It was stupid. I was so screwed for about 2 weeks. It was nuts. So compared to that, I'm hoping it won't be quite as bad, but we'll find out.
It'll be well easy.
Find out. Love a bit of charity stuff here at TCGS. Yeah,
I'm all about that. All about that. Anyway, if you want to leave us feedback, go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS.
If you feel that a podcast has like sort of there's like a tension as we're leading up to the Zelda chat. Do you ever feel
I'm
that
excited.
about podcast?
I don't know. I mean, if that had
sometimes.
been like a dry, feedback section, I'd have been like, "Yeah, come on, let's fucking." But there was loads of really good stuff there. So
it was wet as hell.
I just talk about it because I feel like that sometimes when I listen to a podcast, right, where I'm just like, "There's a big, just get to the bit we want to talk about."
David, is this just you slagging off my news selections this week?
No,
paranoid.
Just saying you don't want to do it. You just want to get onto Zelda.
I don't know if you listened back to last week's show, Sean, but there were several moments where I said I was giving my opinion on the Microsoft, Microsoft Sony stuff, and I got halfway through a sentence, and James was like, "You can't do that. You can't do it." And I was like, "Whoa, I'm agreeing with you, James. Let's calm it down. You need to calm down. I'm not always having a go at you. It's only when you deserve it. All right? If I did it every
which
time,
is all the time.
Yeah,
it's a lot of the time, Sean. It is a lot of the time, but it's not all of the time. Okay? So are we all right, James?
Just most of the time.
fine.
Well, then let's give us the
Go on to the bloody news then.
Let's give us the news.
So, I mean, the news that I was hoping would not happen before we recorded has happened, which is that the
Stadia's
EU
back.
Yeah, well, no, that'd be amazing. I mean, that'd be a
that
show in itself. But no, I mean, the EU have approved the Microsoft Activision deal.
Hooray!
So that's happened. And
I don't know how this works anymore.
it doesn't.
No, I think ultimately it's not going to matter because the CMA, it's a no from them. So I think even if these and the American FTC approve the deal, I think it's still kind of dead in the water anyway. So we'll have to see.
What
And also,
makes you say that?
it's looking even less likely that the FTC are going to reverse. No, sorry, the CMA are going to reverse their decision, because this week they also said basically Microsoft, Activision don't even think about trying to form some sort of business arrangement short of a merger, because
Right,
we won't accept
I've got
either.
that right. I've got that. But are there I don't know the answer to this, but if every regulatory body around the world approves the deal, I don't think it's going to happen. But if they did, wouldn't there be some spotlight on the UK's position and Is this
There
the right
already
thing?
is,
That's
but
happened before because, like with like Facebook with Giphy, like how they
Right.
basically that was approved everywhere. The UK was like no, and then Facebook had to divest themselves of Giphy because that's just how it works.
They had to what? Sorry.
Divest themselves of it. They had to get rid of it.
Wow. So just that one regulatory body,
Yes.
there wouldn't be pressure on that going through because of the implications it could have on the UK economy.
No.
I think that's the angle Microsoft will probably go with. But
Yeah.
I think with everything I've read, essentially what would have to happen is it'll be, the acquisition would go through and COD will be on Game Pass, etc. But in the UK, they would have to have a special, Activision Blizzard UK, and that stuff would not be on Game Pass in the UK. That's what a lot of people are talking about. I think that feels way too messy for Microsoft to do.
Yeah.
So it made they're like, oh, this is not bothering at all. We're not going to do this for the rest of the world and that for the UK just because the CMA
Are they
made
that
their.
big of a market then compared
Yes.
to?
No, we are like in terms. It's one of the like the bigger like it's if you look at it's like the US, the UK, European Union as well, and these are the main three that you have to get like approval through. And it'd be a bit like this if it didn't go through the FTC like in the US, but it did go through the CMA and it went through the EU, it wouldn't happen either. Because the FTC.
Yeah, but the US is a much bigger market than the UK.
It is,
an
but
insanely bigger market than the UK. So that makes more sense to me.
It is, but the UK
we're a fraction. We're a fraction of the UK of the even the EU market, right?
I'm not so sure about that actually. In terms of video games, it's still quite. It's a large market, put it that way. And yeah, it still has a lot of like regulatory power because of because of London being a financial centre, that kind of thing. It's
It'd also just be so messy with marketing that like they can do its adverts about COD on Game Pass and like asterisk not UK or I think for that alone it's like look it's not their dream, it's not their plan for Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass and all the other stuff with mobile and cloud. And I think with no UK it's like a no deal.
I mean,
I genuinely didn't think we were that big of players in it.
Well, I think because especially like obviously we, Brexit, we fucked around and found out that a lot of places like the whole Brexit was sold on this whole like actually we're really brilliant on our own and we'll be absolutely fine because we're amazing and everyone thinks we're amazing. It turns out that's not really the case.
Stop
in a
talking
lot of
about
ways.
written down, Sean.
Here we are, shy.
You're just not believing hard enough, Sean.
No, it's true. I'm being a Ramona. Sorry, Project Fear and all that. So yeah, it certainly wouldn't surprise me to find out. Like if Microsoft just turned around and went, "All right, well, you don't get Call of Duty, then suckers."
No, but that's the opposite of what we're saying is going to happen.
No, because that's
isn't
one
it?
of the
Isn't it what you're
solutions.
saying is that? Yeah, no, but you're saying they wouldn't do that. They'd rather just not.
I think it just wouldn't go ahead, but they could do that. But it would be really weird and strange.
It'd be messy.
Yeah, if they did do that.
Okay, all right, sure.
But I mean, at the moment, the next thing we need to wait for now is the FTC and see.
And that's looking like they're not going to approve it either, right?
I mean, there's been a lot of talk about opposing
Whispers.
that, and
So where would they go from there? Just cut their losses?
If the FTC say no, then I think they're done. I mean,
because they'll have to make massive concessions and divestiture, and it's like at that point, is it really worth it?
Okay.
I mean, does anyone? And I'm not. This isn't like a funny dig about how long we've talked about it and stuff. Do any of us actually care if this goes ahead or not? Like as Xbox owners and capital G gamers, I don't feel like it would affect.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think that in short term, you think, yeah, I'd love that. I don't have to buy COD anymore. I'll be on Game Pass, brilliant.
Yeah.
But that's short term view, isn't it? Like, is it good for us in the long run? Probably not, right? Like that's
that's the way I view it. I just think I'd rather it didn't because I don't think it's great. All these big companies buying each other up and just becoming like just groups. I think is not great for us.
Yeah, I think as an Epic gamer myself, doesn't really bother me.
Yeah,
there's certainly a line that needs to be drawn though, like what companies could be acquired and what couldn't. I'd be interested to know where, say, Ubisoft sit. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Someone like if Microsoft bought EA, it would be as bad, if not worse, trying to take over a company like EA, right?
I think as bad or slightly worse. I mean, I'm not sure what the revenue of like FIFA versus COD is, and all the other properties that maybe because EA have FIFA. Well, actually, no. No, yeah, EA.
Well,
Activision,
EA,
Activision
They have
several-
EA Sports FC.
Activision
And
is
the-
several orders of magnitude bigger than EA. It's massive. Like EA is a lot
it?
smaller than Activision. It's like
I
significantly.
mean, they bought Bethesda with seemingly zero issues at all, and that was like an $8 billion acquisition.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, James, is that I think if Microsoft tried to acquire EA, I don't think that'd go through in a similar vein, right?
No, I don't think it would either.
But then
It's,
then where's Ubisoft? Where do they sit in?
Yeah,
I think they're
in that, like,
relatively small, aren't they?
yeah, they are.
Would
compared
they
to-
get the thumbs up? You know, would they get Square Enix? Would be another one. Would they get
Square
the
Enix,
thumbs up? Would they
Sega,
get-
Square Enix, Ubisoft.
Well, Sega's not. I don't think anyone would care.
I think Microsoft should actually go
Oh.
the whole hog and try and buy the Embracer Group. That
So,
because Embracer
as
Group has
of-
got
As of today, Ubisoft has a market net worth of 3.24 billion.
Okay,
So that's
that's not a lot, is it?
not a lot
so,
at all.
yeah, but,
The
yeah,
others?
but so do we, Sean. Like, what's
Yeah.
that?
True.
I wish. Fucking hell, I'd be out of it if we did. Sell up. Yeah, okay. All right, fine. That's enough about that story.
Yeah, so we'll find out more anyway later when FTC make the decision. Anyway,
We'll be thrilled to report on it.
Yeah,
That's
not
more news.
Anyway, next one is that Summer Games Fest has announced that they've got 40 plus partners, including PlayStation and Xbox, are going to be there. And so they're launching, this is on the 8th of June, with a cross-industry showcase, which is going to be held at the YouTube Theatre in California in front of a live audience. So that's the thing I'm
Blimey.
most excited about, is the live
Yeah.
audience, because we'll see how that works out. And then after that, they're going to have an indie focus Day of the Devs, obviously, again, after that. And then the next show will be Xbox, which is on the 11th of June. And then they've got their Starfield Direct after that. Yeah, so they got 40-odd companies, Jeff has managed to
Yeah,
corral.
I mean,
into...
EA is officially dead. If
I
we
mean,
hadn't
EA
already announced
EA,
it.
EA's
No,
dead.
no,
is it?
Sorry, E3's officially dead, isn't it?
Yeah,
Let's face it. Wow. Okay. I mean, especially getting PlayStation, that's the one.
Yeah, I
'Cause
mean,
they've
E3
been
can do it
flaky
for
on
years.
E3 for ages.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, love
Because you
that.
do wonder how much. So yeah, various companies not taking part in E3 due to logistical reasons or whatever. You do start to wonder how much of this was, well, they've agreed to do a Summer Games Fest thing, and E3 have said, well, you can't.
Oh, what
if you're coming in.
exclusivity?
Yeah, I wonder if there's maybe some. Yeah,
I think there's
Falling's
probably
out.
part of that. I think
Yeah.
there's also probably, I bet, Summer Games Fest in terms of the cost to PlayStation and Xbox is a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
imagine
Because I
so.
think-
Yeah.
E3 are probably just, building on what they used to charge for things. And I know, yeah, I bet he's undercutting, which also makes you think, well, how financially viable will Summer Games Fest be? Is it going to be something that they can, keep going into the future?
Yeah, because
It'd be
this
interesting to
is
see the
they'll make the
transition
money
period,
through
I think.
sponsorships and this and that. That's where they
I
make the
mean,
money, I reckon.
It's interesting because if you look at the list of people that are going to be there, it's pretty much it's just not Nintendo. Everyone else is there apart from Nintendo. Really, it is quite a list, of
Right.
contributors.
exciting.
Okay.
I'm sincerely excited. I know we take the piss. I'm excited about this. What time is it on here? Is this a potential streamer for us?
I think
sure it
100.
probably will
I
be,
think it will 100%. I mean, we did it last time,
Yeah.
didn't we? This is
Did
we
we? I
did it
can't
on the
remember.
Saturday or Sunday afternoon or evening.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, fingers crossed.
but James can't watch it.
Yeah, what are we're not doing anything about that, are we? What are we doing? What's
No.
happening?
Probably not.
Yeah, I assumed that was. Yeah, we weren't
It's
doing that
over.
anymore. to be
Yeah, it's
honest.
dead. We've
E3
said
have read
maybe
the best
I think the best
podcast
thing
idea
we
known
can
to
do,
man.
we're talking about our E3 podcast, right? Which, for those of you that haven't heard it because we haven't done it for ages, is what we used to do. Is one of us wasn't allowed to watch anything, and then we had to report back to that person that hadn't watched anything, what had happened, and we chucked a few lies in there as well just to wind them up.
We did a few lies.
Sometimes. Some of us had to endure a full made-up Nintendo conference.
Some of us did. Three of us maybe had to write a totally fully made up, and it was blown on the idea of a Rayman amiibo.
Yeah, that was the one that I couldn't grab
was the
my head
giveaway.
around.
How do the arms work? Fuck!
Shit. It's little bits of plastic.
No, plastic,
Wires.
plastic,
Bits of
bollock.
plastic.
They're on wires.
But So that's what we usually do. I say we assess it this year and we see what it looks like and whether it's possible to do something like that next
Can
year.
I say, because okay, when all this is happening, I ain't going to be able to watch anything anyway because I've got a work thing that starts on the 7th until basically the week after.
Oh shit!
And
Brilliant.
so I
Okay.
can't watch anything
Ready-made
like,
then.
during that time. So
So ready-made.
it could be potentially we could still do something with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. That was a weird.
I mean,
thing to
you'll
bring
still
up
go on Reddit. So
now.
switch my go on roll marker and put the
go on
put my
PSN.
consoles on. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm on
Anyway,
the Xbox
okay.
app. I'm on TikTok.
I don't know why you're laughing, James. That was aimed at you, mate.
Pretty sure it's you, David. You did all those things.
All right. Okay. I didn't go on Reddit. Okay. Next.
It's the one
so
website
then-
on the internet you didn't visit.
Probably been fucking banned.
Didn't break a rule. Didn't break a single rule that year.
You ruined the show, David. Admit it.
Yeah,
No, didn't break a single rule. Go
absolutely
on.
wrecked.
You wrecked it.
So anyway, also
Wanker.
it's also
Yeah, bit harsh.
Jeff Grubb said there's going to be a PlayStation event which is going to take place during the week of May the 25th. So this is going to probably kind of kick off the whole Summer Games Fest thing. They're doing a showcase, but we don't know what's going to be
Opening
there.
with good
No
grub,
detail.
are they?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's early doors on Reading Festival main stage, isn't it? I can't see many people piling up for that, but there'll be a few excited people that will.
Next story is that we finally kind of found out what's happening to Silksong, because basically,
not really.
not really. No, I mean, well, no, we know for certain now that it's been delayed. Obviously, so the developer came out and they said we had planned to release in the first half of 2023, but development is still continuing. We're excited by how the game is shaping up and it's gotten quite big. So we want to take the time to make the game as good as we can. Expect more details from us once we get closer to release. So this is going to be next year, isn't it? Probably. I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what that game's going to look like when it comes out.
In what
Trouble
sense?
development, maybe. Well, I mean, it just seems to be it's weird, isn't it? It's one of the weird ones. Do you
It is
remember when,
weird.
when
but
was
then
it first announced?
It's February 2019.
No, it wasn't. It was before then, wasn't
No,
it?
it was announced in February 2019.
God, it feels
Okay.
like it was announced when I was in school.
Because I mean,
pandemic,
obviously the
that.
original Hollow Knight, came out, but then they added loads of shit to it. Like we played it when it came out on Switch, by which point all the DLC had been added. Whereas loads of people had already played and enjoyed it on PC when that stuff was still getting put in. So yes, maybe it is just that with this one they just want it like day one, every platform. It's got all the content apart from like obvious DLC stuff. Who knows? But I mean, obviously they made so much fucking money from the original Hollow Knight, and there was only how many? I can't remember. The Team Cherry was small then, so they can afford to take as long as they want with this, and as long as it's affording them like some sort of quality of life at the same time. Like I would be gutted if it turned out they just like kind of actually did fuck all for a bit, but I don't think that's the case. So yeah.
Are we getting to the point with this game where it's never going to live up to the hype, or is it only really hyped in a small audience? It feels bigger than it actually is, but actually it's it'll be fine.
I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
I think it'll be fine. Honestly,
I don't think anyone's expecting this is going to be like absolutely amazing or whatever. I think
I don't know. I think the expectations are high, but I don't anticipate it being like
a real game changer. I see this as being like hopefully as good as the first one.
I mean, like I adored Hollow Knight, but it's not insurmountable in terms of quality. Like I can see where they would potentially go with it next. And from previews we have seen stuff that like what they've changed up with the combat and stuff sounds really interesting. So keen, but not like absolutely rabid to the point of probably being disappointed by it. Do you know what I mean?
Cool. Okay, the next story is that we've got a tiny bit more insight on what may be happening with Switch hardware, like new Switch hardware, and it's obviously it's not coming yet, but it seems that it may be coming. I mean, it's definitely going to be coming sometime after March 31st, 2024. because that's the end of the financial earnings for the forecast for when it's going to be. And so it seems that what they're going to do instead is, I mean, I would guess here, I reckon it's probably going to come out next year, like, holidays time or whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Holiday 24.
Yeah.
But they've also said that this time there'll be a much shorter sort of time between announcement and release. It's not going to be like the Switch where it was like 2 years, wasn't it, that they announced it, and then it was quite some time.
Was it really that long? I remember they sort of spoke about it initially, and then we saw that trailer. I remember that first trailer, and we were blown away because more than anything, it looked like a modern device at the time.
Yeah.
And after the Wii U, it was quite a quite a change.
Yeah, it was quite a change, wasn't it? People playing on rooftops, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Which
Rooftop
we all
parties.
did. Don't pretend we're doing it. Basketball courts, under bridges. We
That's
did it
right.
all.
Yeah.
But then Nintendo have also said that they're hoping to invigorate Switch sales by supplementing existing titles with a continuous stream of new titles and add-on content. So yeah,
What?
So they're going to release
It's
games and
slow that
DLC.
down.
Taking games out. Yeah.
So they want
They're
to. So they're going to supplement the sales by supplementing existing titles with a
Right, so they've got
continuous
existing titles.
Yeah,
with a
tick.
continuous stream of new titles
New games.
and add-on
Okay.
content. So
Right,
DLC.
Well, let's see this continuous stream of new titles because
It's been a while.
we've got it now, haven't we? We've
Yeah,
got
it's
that
true.
one now. So
Yep,
what's
Zelda,
next?
tick.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Odyssey
far
2.
they've sold like 1 billion Switch games to date so far, which is quite a lot. I don't.
Who
And
two?
that's not even
What?
an exaggeration. That literally is a billion.
Yeah, it's yeah.
That's a lot of Switch games.
Okay, next
Most
story.
from James Farley's residence in Canterbury.
Next story is do you remember D Brand?
I
Of
do.
course I do.
I've got.
I
They
fucking
sponsor-
hate D Brand.
They sponsor every MKBHD video.
Cheers, guys.
How can I forget?
I mean, you're going to love this story, David.
They sponsor. Sorry, they sponsor what?
Every MKBHD video, basically. You
What
know,
is an MKBHD?
Oh,
Marquez
Dave,
Brownlee.
Marcus Brownlee.
Oh right. Oh yeah. No, he's I
he's-
see
he's-
because I love Marcus. Right.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the
he's
best.
great.
Legit. But his association with D Brand always makes me cringe. Always makes me cringe. When
Dave
he's
doesn't
going,
like
"Hey."
D Brand. Everyone.
Yeah,
Well,
too
I don't like
edgy.
D Brand for two reasons, right? The first being like, when I first heard of them, they were trying to sell like known
It was that
like
design they put out. There
icons
was like
from-
all the icons, and there was
it
clearly
was like a
trademark
YouTube
stuff
like
in there.
icon and a TikTok icon and I'm like, how are you
I
trying
think
to
that was
get away with this?
pre-TikTok. That was
Oh,
a
it
few
might
years
be,
back
yeah,
now,
you
but
might be
yeah,
right,
yeah,
yeah,
but
and-
there was a lot of obviously copyrighted stuff on there. Yeah.
And I don't like their attitude when it comes to hey, fuck you, fuck all. It's like, all right, mate, you make covers. It's nothing special.
I fully know what you mean because it's the BrewDog line, isn't it? Which for
Oh,
me,
God, yeah,
for me,
Brewdog
they
piss me
don't
off with this shit as
quite
well.
cross it. They definitely miss the mark sometimes. I'm talking about D Brand. I fucking hate BrewDog. But D Brand, yeah, like 80% of it does make me laugh, and then 20% I'm like, yeah, all right, guys, come on.
Oh, come on. D Brand are worse than Brewdog for this shit.
Yeah, but they're actually quite funny a lot of the time as well.
I mean,
Right,
I'm not so
okay,
sure about
well-
that. I mean, can I read the story?
Yeah, let's find out what we're talking about.
Yeah, sorry,
This
yeah,
is incredible.
So they've released a set of Zelda themed it's decals. How do you say it? Is this decals or
Decals.
Decals, yeah.
Decal.
Which
Decals.
Decals.
yeah, and which say
Decks.
so on these they say go fuck yourself lawyers in code on the dock. And
I mean,
then
it's quite. I mean, it's once you've been told that's what it says, you're like, oh yeah, I guess. But anyway, go on.
Right.
So then what it is. This is called the Clone of the Kingdom set, and it gives you get like a set of Joy-Con, Switch dock, and Switch back stickers for the Switch or the Switch OLED, and basically it looks very similar to the Tears of the Kingdom limited edition one that Nintendo released, and it's not a direct copy, but it's very close. And so the website for these also has a section entitled "The Power of Plagiarism," and this is the quote. They said, "Contrary to popular belief, you need to spend money to save money, specifically by giving it to us. You see, when one of the world's most litigious companies announces a $359.99 price tag to replace your Switch with the limited edition variant, only D-Brand is up for the challenge of charging you slightly less for a creative reinterpretation of their overpriced novelty console. If $1 saved is $1 earned, Clone of the Kingdom is the easiest $310 you've ever made. So there you go.
I mean, obviously, framing it as like a moral stance is a bit embarrassing.
That's completely ridiculous.
I did enjoy that line at the end.
The thing is, right, I think it's not only that with D-Brand, it's also the fact that they never seem to have any original ideas. It's like, we're selling a bunch
of... Oh, they do. There's loads of original stuff on there.
Look at this. This is the Zelda thing. We just copied it. And go on then. Fuck you.
Well, no, but this is the PR stuff they do
I know what they're doing. Is to get the headlines, and
it's worked. We were talking about that.
Yeah, but honestly, Matt, like I hate that attitude of, hey, you could be as much of a cunt as you want, as long as you're getting headlines for it. I hate that attitude, and D-Brand definitely like walked this line. It's
100%.
embarrassing.
It's working for them, but.
Yeah, I don't care if it's working for him. I don't have to go, oh, yeah, no, good. Well, fair enough. It's working for him. No, you just look at them and just go, is that what you want to do?
See, I agree with you, David, because for me, it's like Boris Johnson. It's like, it's working for him, like just being like this. And it's like, it's all like Trump. It's like, just being outrageous or whatever just to get headlines. And it's like, it's working for him. But it's like
really good phone cases.
Yeah, and Trump doesn't. That I'm aware
of. Exactly.
No, he does actually. He cheats in his website. He's got a whole range.
I mean, yeah, because they also did an Animal Crossing one back in the day, which was again looked legit. But then, like, when you looked really closely at the little Tom Nook, he had like a little pig's nose instead of. So it did look slightly different. So this isn't even the first one they've done of these.
No,
but yeah,
hate it.
It's a lot cheaper than buying a new one, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But then no one's like, but it's disingenuous, isn't it, to pretend that like anyone who already had a Switch OLED was like, "Fuck, I need to buy the Zelda one now." Like, obviously, that was for people who don't yet have an OLED.
You speak for yourself.
And the people that are prepared to do that, I'd rather do that than put a sticker that says "Go fuck yourself, lawyers" on their Switch. Do you know what I mean? It's an odd one. Like, I think there's a legitimate point to be made about limited edition consoles, and whether they're especially when being targeted at people that they know are going to buy it regardless, right?
Yeah, especially when Nintendo did do the new 3DS, which had the interchangeable faceplates on it, and then they suddenly went, "Oh, hang on a minute, now we can't sell limited editions of the consoles anymore." So.
Sure, and I see that argument, and that's a little bit legitimate discussion to have. You don't have that discussion by going, "We'll buy our stuff instead." Like, it just makes you feel fucking ill. Yeah, I'm not a fan of D-Brand. Okay, next.
Last story is that obviously Tears of the Kingdom has done pretty well. It's done. Destroyed loads of sales records in the UK for Nintendo games. It's the second biggest release in UK history for Nintendo by revenue, and just behind Wii Fit, which did very well.
Oh, wow, Wii Fit was the one that took it. That's unreal, isn't it?
But I guess it's by revenue, so like, the Wii Fit board plus the game.
Yeah.
Pricey.
I see. Yeah, should we just get onto it?
Yeah, sure.
I'll say this up front. If you are very, very sensitive about spoilers, and I mean very sensitive about spoilers, then maybe don't listen to this. We are not going to be actively trying to spoil big plot points or big mechanical Well, we're going to be talking about the mechanics of the game, but that all appears right at the start of the game and has been all over the promotional material as well. So don't worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going to talk about probably our first 5 to 10 hours of playing this game.
More like if 15 plus.
Right, let's go one better, and
I'm the master gamer, Dave.
The master gamer, sure. I've always said that about you. So if you are super hypersensitive towards spoilers, especially for this game, then please don't listen to this segment of the show. However, I'm assuming that if you are that sensitive, you've probably played way more than us anyway, so I wouldn't worry.
And I would say, like Breath of the Wild, I feel like this is once again so big
Yeah.
that actually you can see and hear loads of stuff about it, and not like it won't diminish your experience because
100%.
there's
Yeah.
there's so much to see and do. In
Yeah,
it.
I was worried about spoilers beforehand, and not, I didn't want to know a lot of stuff. But yeah, exactly as you say, Sean. Like Breath of the Wild, the more I saw on Twitter and stuff when that game came out, it's one of the rare games I didn't feel like it was spoiled. Obviously, if someone said, "Here's what happens in the story," that would be different. But seeing everyone in Breath of the Wild do crazy things with the abilities and see cool things in the environment, it never felt like a spoiler. It was almost like, man, like that's their adventure. I'm going on my journey. It's very different, but there's always amazing, cool things in the world. And yes, I definitely like muted. I might have muted the word Zelda pre-launch, but now I'm seeing as a cool videos, and it's not spoiling things for me. It's just blowing me away about the the opportunities and
We've all seen the big
creativity in the world.
statue with the firework penis. That's the
that's a good
main
one.
video. Right. I'd like to start by talking about the opening couple of hours of this game, because it's something I've been thinking about a lot, actually, because I think personally, I thought the opening 2 to 3 hours of this game was pretty rough going.
Really?
And yeah, and it's funny because I sit there and I don't know how you do anything differently. Like I when I look at the opening 2 to 3 hours, I'm not sitting there thinking they should have done this or they shouldn't have done that. I'm sitting there thinking, fuck, how do you begin a game like this? And I think really the only way you begin a game like this is that the way they've done it. But I do think it's a bit of a struggle for someone that has played that original game and loved it.
Do you mean in terms of, because one of the things I found a little bit difficult with that at the beginning is the fact that there's so much sort of tutorials, there's so much text that you kind of have to read through that you kind of you just want to get on with it.
So yeah,
and
so that's totally the feeling, right? Because what this game does is it starts in exactly the same way as Breath of the Wild did. You're in a smaller version of an area. You're in a small, tight, not too tight. It feels
you
quite,
say that
quite
there's a bit before that though, isn't there? There's quite a cool sort of cold open, but yeah, you don't really.
The cold open thing was fucking hilarious. Okay, so let's go to that. I mean, come on. I mean, honestly, it was again. They couldn't have done anything different. So I'm not sitting there having a go at this game at all, right? I'm not. As a critical perspective, I'm not sitting here saying that they did this wrong or they fucked up, right? But when you open as Link walking underneath the castle with Zelda, and you're looking at a full sort of screen full of hearts and a full stamina bar, and I'm going, okay, how long's this gonna last then? And it literally lasts about 2 minutes when it gets sapped away from you in the most ridiculous way. I was like, I get it, but also it's a bit silly, isn't it?
I also found Zelda a little bit annoying during that scene.
Yes.
So please say you've changed the vocals, because I did that with the last game and it makes such a big difference.
Oh, I haven't
Really, because
I haven't. I probably will.
To
change
what?
it to
Sorry.
Japanese.
It's better, yeah.
It honestly infinitely better. The whole section I've just been through, honestly, I don't know how I could have done it if it was in English. Like the English voice acting in this is terrible. It's terrible, right? The voices are annoying. The way they deliver the lines is annoying. And yeah, I because I was reminded of that. I was like, this got a different feeling to it already, and I was like, oh yeah, I changed it to Japanese in Breath of the Wild, and God, do that to this game.
See, because that whole thing
totally
when she was like looking at all of the murals
Yeah.
and the thing,
Yeah.
and she was weirdly
shut
overexcited by that.
Yeah.
And it's like I was sitting there watching it, just thinking, yeah, they're right there. Like you don't need to make this much of a thing out of it. It was really
odd.
strange.
I think that cold open, it definitely felt less impactful than Breath of the Wild did. It was like, I mean, maybe that's the way they had to do it because of what we played with Breath of the Wild. But I was like, Breath of the Wild, the opening just felt so special, and then it kind of eventually opened up where it's like, the view across the great, the plateau, and I was like, holy shit, what an intro to this game. But this has felt like he's straight in there, and there wasn't like a big bang for me.
Right.
But...
So this is what I'm talking about. The opening 2 hours has a problem, and I don't think there's a way of solving it really, because part of it is due to emotional attachment, and part of it is due to expectation. When you launch the game, you just want to play. You remember how you felt about the game at the end of Breath of the Wild, right? You forget that when you launch Breath of the Wild, you've got to individually learn each ability, right? So they've got to teach you each ability, how to use them, and what what the possibilities are. But because you don't know what you're getting into with Breath of the Wild, you don't know necessarily that you're on quite a restricted area at the start of the game. You don't know what the progression system of the game is or anything like that. You're sort of half dealing with the tutorial and half dealing with the mind-blowing nature of shit, I can go anywhere and just do that. And how do I get
Yeah.
over there? Wow, this is great to get over there. Whereas in this one, you've got no stamina, so you forget how terribly like claustrophobic that is in this game at the start of it, because again, you remember in Breath of the Wild when you've got 8 rings around your stamina bar or whatever, and the feeling of going through each ability is just like, and I was thinking, how do other games do this, right? And of course they do it where you get one ability and then later on in the game it teaches you another ability. That doesn't work with this game. Like it wouldn't work. Because the whole idea is that once you are out of that area, you're sitting there going, "Shit, where the fuck do I go?"
Yeah,
And that's what makes it so good, right? So yeah, I was absolutely, yeah, I genuinely do think the opening 2 hours is hard going, because part of your brain is going, "I want to just go now. I want to go, and I can't. You're teaching me stuff," and part of you's going, "Why am I dying because it's too cold? Why am I going through this again? This was a problem I solved in the last game."
Yeah.
Thankfully, they do sort of put that right very early on in that tutorial bit. It's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Here's what you need, which is great. And for me, the game didn't start going until I got to the bit where it said, "Here's your objectives." There's 5 of them all over the place. Like that's when the game went, okay, I'm in. And even then, it's tough going back to how restricted Link is at the start of these games. But at least now I can see sort of myself progressing as I go on.
Yeah, I mean, like the weapon degradation.
Oh my god, is that doing your nutting as well?
Well, I mean, like, there's been debates about this since obviously Breath of the Wild came out, whether it's a good thing or bad thing. It never really did my head in, but I think you're right, David. What I do is I remember how I was towards the end of the game when I had maybe the Master Sword or stuff that didn't bother me. Whereas in this, this is where it's always the most painful at the beginning, when you got no stamina, you can't survive anything, and weapons break in 4 hits, and your weapons are shit. Like this bit's always the worst. And as you get more and you get more abilities, it feels better. It hasn't really done my head in that much, but it feels much more painful when you start. But that's just how
really
it is.
does, yeah.
I don't feel that's the thing, right? Because I feel less pain this time with the weapon stuff, mostly because of the weapon fuse stuff.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you can you can make stuff really early on that is more powerful, or that has different abilities and stuff like that. So it feels less of a drag to me.
I can see that. Yeah, I haven't used fuse as much as I probably should do, but yeah, I can
Oh
see
mate,
why
it's
that would.
absolutely
Kinda need
essential.
to.
Yeah, I fuse absolutely everything. It's
this-
Go on, sorry,
This
James.
is part of the problem, though, that I've had so far. I mean, I've only played this for about 2 or 3 hours, but I keep forgetting all the abilities that I've got. Particularly,
Ascend is the worst for that.
yeah, that one all the time. Forget that
Yeah.
one exists, and it's
the
Asher
amount
and
of
he's
fucking
watching, and
climbing
he's
up
like,
a mountain,
yeah.
and just thinking, why the fuck am I doing this when I could just do a cock and fly up there? It's so weird.
I mean, it depends, right? You have to be able to get
Yeah.
under.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say
to
you need to
ascend
be in a
through it,
cave
but
or whatever,
it's-
but yeah.
But it's quite forgiving, that, as in it's
Yeah,
really
it is.
you can use it.
It
Quite
is, and I've
easily, for
seen
stuff.
developers talking about what a technical marvel it is, because
Yeah, for
normally
sure.
games, like in terms of the geometry of 3D spaces and stuff, then the stuff you don't see is normally fucked, because who cares, right? It's not important. Whereas actually this must, the entire world must be completely consistent in terms of spaces that have been filled in or haven't, or whatever, and it must have been a shitload of work for that
Well,
to.
Yeah, and I think
even
they-
just to
I
the
think
point
they-
of sorry, Dave.
I think they do foul with that ability in places.
Really?
I'll go into it a little bit more later, but the area that I'm in, I found myself in places that I absolutely should not have been in, and to the point where I'm like, this is completely fucked the whole thing that you're trying to do here in my head. and now I'm completely lost, and I've spent way too long in here because of that. So it's a lot more free than I thought it would be. Initially, I thought there'd be very specific places that you can ascend to, but that is not the case. It's very much if there's a surface that's landable above, yes, you can absolutely ascend
Yeah,
there.
100%.
And that's broken the game a couple of times for me to the point where I'm just like, fuck.
That's what I was wondering, because you see, so far, like as I've used it, it's been just really effective and brilliant, and hasn't.
I've loved it.
I was just thinking, like,
I'm a big fan.
The amount of design that must have gone into this, like for the whole map, trying to figure out, where it, there must be areas where it, you can't use it because it will break whatever they're trying to do. But if you're saying, David, that it does do that,
I
think Sean's right here. Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
I think you're right, Sean. I think it's not necessarily down to here are the areas you can use it and here are the areas you can't. I think there's a specific rule that whether Link can stand on the area above, you can ascend to that. And it's funny as well when you're walking around, sometimes you see the geometry of the place and you go, oh, you've totally had the ascend ability in mind when you're doing this. You look up in certain shrines or whatever and it's just like massive, like the walls are so much higher and there's no there's no roof or whatever, and you just go, oh that's had that ability in mind. But but you're right, James. It takes a while to realize that that's a thing that you can do. There's been loads of times where I've been climbing and just thinking, what a waste of my time.
Have you clocked that you can use it on some bosses?
No,
I have not clocked that I can use it on a boss yet.
Yeah,
no.
the Talus guy, the big rock guys.
Okay,
we can go under him
straight up.
So I think this is, everyone will experience this very early on, but that was my favorite. Haha, this is brilliant moment. So you just come down from the sky for the first time,
which
you
is
walk
amazing,
along.
by the way. I fucking love
it is
that.
incredible. That stuff. Oh, when the towers, jumping up the towers is just fucking incredible. But when you first walk over and you see the little base,
I've got issues with that, but we'll come back to that, James.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a sec. But when you see the base of the goblins or whatever, that you see a million times in Breath of the Wild, and you're going, here we go, I'll go and take these lads on. And then the rock guy comes up from underneath and you realise the whole base is on their back. I was like, no, this game is doing what I want it to do. That is a big fuck you to my expectations, and that's what I want.
I'll tell you what, the trees coming alive, like
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've not seen that yet.
Yeah, that fully shit me up, that did.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they're not even that hard or anything. It's just unsettling.
Yeah. Really, suddenly come at you.
Come in, right? So, okay, this has towers again, right? So the way they do towers in the last game is different to the way they do towers in this game. So the towers, if you don't know, you should do if you've played a video game ever. In the last game, you used to get to a tower and then find a way to climb to the top to activate it, and it opened up a big portion of the map, right? So you could look and see what the terrain looks like around you. Here, they are towers that you don't necessarily have to climb, right? There's usually a puzzle down by the gate. You do the puzzle and you get in and that opens up. And what it does is it shoots you up into the sky and you have a look around and that like adds it to your map. What's your issue with it, James and Matt? I'm interested.
Well, the thing I don't like about it quite so much is, you see, I enjoyed climbing those towers before.
Me too. I really miss that aspect of it. I used to love seeing and think, oh, how am I going to go up there? I enjoyed the climbing. And yet, yes, it's a bit of a puzzle sometimes to get to these now. Maybe that's the puzzle to open them or to even access it. But when I saw the first one did it, I was like, oh, I wonder if they're all like that, because in fact, no, actually, the first tower I saw the tower and I climbed to the top of it instantly, thinking that's how you did it.
That's what I did.
And then, and basically I climbed to the top of it, but nothing happened. I was like, why is nothing happening? And it turns out I had to I've talked someone down below to unlock a story reason why they were why they why it wasn't working really. And I was like, hang on, so climbing isn't a thing? And no, climbing isn't a thing. It's accessing it, which I think it's missed a bit.
I've done one where you have to climb.
I think if they'd just done climbing again, everyone would have complained, and I think I would have.
Sorry, David, you found a tower where you do have to climb to the top to open it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so they do exist.
Was it because there's one?
There's only one, and it's not very good.
There's well, because there's one. I mean, again, this was another ascend moment. There's one where, basically you get there and the doors are jammed, and then and there's someone there, and they're like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be fixing this, but I need something to eat."
Yes, I've got that one
Yeah.
to do next. Yeah.
Do you want me to? Okay. I mean, basically,
I mean, it doesn't
I've
matter.
already
No,
told you
I've
the
already
answer,
talked to him, and he said something like he's trying to get something at the bottom of a hill, and I
Well,
looked
yeah,
for
yeah.
ages,
He's like,
and
oh
I
yeah,
was like,
there's like caves under here where they have these like really tasty mushrooms, and you're like, okay, and you go down there, and like you find some mushrooms, and I did like a couple of trips back and forth. I was like, he doesn't want any of these fucking mushrooms. What's the big deal? And then the third time I was like in the cave, and then I was like, I'm underneath it. I'm underneath the fucking tower.
oh, that's amazing.
Oh
Straight
wow,
up.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because he said bottom of the hill, and I was like, well, I went down to bottom. I was like, which? There's a massive hill. Which side? I looked for a cave for ages and I went off to do something else in the end. But that is still a tower I need to unlock properly. Yeah, I think it's missed a bit from the lack of climbing, but it's still awesome to. I think the animation where you get like shot off into the air and you see like the whole environment, and then you can
Really good.
use that as like a way to basically access other areas by okay, I'll go up a tower, I'll get flown in the air, I'll float to somewhere here to a shrine or whatever. I think that's great.
The other thing that Asher taught me like early on with that was he was like, when you get shot up in the air and you've got time there to use your press the right stick in, and then you can identify
wow. Does
things.
It pause or
No, but you're going down so slowly that it's fine. And
Right,
he was
right.
like,
Oh,
just
wow.
use that to identify stuff on the map and like pinpoint them, using
Amazing.
the
Nice.
telescope thing.
A couple of negatives to get out of the way. Firstly, I'm sorry, but it looks ropey in places, specifically shadows. I think there are times where it does look incredible. I think, but I think
Can I ask one question
when you
about this? Because
Go
you
on.
see, I've been playing it like I've been playing it mostly docked, and I've noticed that it to me it looks considerably worse in handheld than it does docked.
How do you
really,
think?
I'd say
Yeah.
the opposite actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I
So
really thought
I
it looked
think it
better
looks
as
better
docked.
in handheld.
Oh, really?
than
I've only
docked,
played
yeah.
docked. I mean, which is unlike me, but I've just, it's been a weekend. I've only played it docked. But do you think there's a
So-
difference between the two?
I've played both,
Well,
and
only
I've not
because it's
noticed.
less. Yeah,
I
only
think,
because it's less blown out on
Mm.
a smaller screen than it is on a bigger one. But specifically, I think the shadowing, it's like wow, and there are big areas where there's tons of trees and light shining through the trees, and I'm like, and you're walking along and you see the light, it's like sort of shimmering, and I think wow, this. I mean, it's not what this game's about really. It took me a little while to get used to 30 frames, but again, I've found
Well,
many areas where that dips.
I was going to say,
quite
yeah, and
significantly,
particularly when you're messing with like moving objects around and stuff.
Yeah.
That's when it really.
For
Well, I've got to
sure.
say,
When-
sorry, go on.
Go on.
No, I was going to say in terms of like performance and visuals, yes, it doesn't look, like incredible, but like I kind of actually feel an appreciation. You can almost like see like the work the developers doing to like degrade the quality of that thing there to make this thing run as smooth as possible. It's almost like you can really see the work going in and the bits which look better and worse in order to try and keep it as smooth as possible. I mean,
but
my biggest
I'm not
worry
really
was
interested
performance in
the
this
work.
game.
I want the end product. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know,
I'm not
but
really
it's the Switch. I'm like, I can appreciate that they've tried to make this game, and actually, performance-wise, I've been kind of amazed by how well it works. That's my biggest worry about the game. Before the reviews came out, I thought this could be like a 10 game, but I think loads of people would knock it down for performance. That hasn't really been a thing. Yes, it's not like we're not talking 60 frames or even like a solid 30, but generally, I've had like very, very little issues. There's been a few frame drops here and there, mostly when we were using abilities and whatnot and trying to build massive structures. But generally, I've been really, really impressed with the performance, and I
was going to say,
amazed,
and
really.
especially like when you consider, all right, visuals are one thing, but all the things this game is doing technically, like the sheer size of the world, the sky stuff, like it's all there's no transition, there's no loading, like it's all in the world.
Well, the only
it's
loading
all...
is the shrines, and that's okay.
tons
This
of
is on
loading.
PS5. That will go straight through. But yeah, like the shrines are loading.
Which is a shame
And then
because it does that thing, doesn't it?
When
Where
you
it does
die
the...
as well, it's quite a lengthy load screen.
But
the shrines are. I don't know if you guys are the same. It's like weirdly disappointed because when you first open one up, you're like, "Oh shit, it's the portal effect from Psychonauts 2 or whatever."
Yeah.
and then you walk in and say,
yeah.
"Oh no, it's not. It's just
No, it's absolutely not that. Yeah.
But the thing
I
is
don't
about
care,
this though is
really.
it's what Sean said about all the systems and everything that are going on here, which is really, really impressive. Because I mean, I played a bit of Horizon, like they released that like the new DLC for that recently, and I put that on and it looks absolutely stunning. Like it's probably the best looking game I think I've ever seen. Like it looks incredible, but you can't do anywhere near as much in that game as you can in this.
Oh,
like in terms
obviously,
of being
but
able to get around and
I don't think
you know.
I don't think it's a bad thing to say. Actually, this game is quite limited visually, and had the Switch been more powerful, or if this was on more powerful console, I, you know, to see what they've done on the Switch is fine. But imagine what it would have looked like with a bit more grunt. And
Well, this is it. You don't have to
I
because
think,
modders have already like
have
absolutely
they?
gone to
I haven't
town on
looked
it.
into
Yeah,
this.
Oh, I'll
there's
have to
already
have a look
like
at that,
4K
yeah.
60 footage.
Oh
and
man,
the rest.
okay.
So there's that, and also the controls. There's no getting around it. It's quite fiddly, and
Yes.
especially when it comes to building things. I think
Mhm.
the flipping and the positioning and stuff.
I see.
I'm
I don't
getting
mind that
way
stuff.
more
It's
used to
the
it now.
it's the
Yeah,
items.
I'm used to it now, yeah.
The items are
Yeah.
the issue for me.
Oh
Like
god, yeah. Why they have that weird system where you press up on the D-pad and it brings your items up,
Yeah.
but you can't seem to eat anything.
Yeah, you
by
can't
doing that.
select
You
them
have to
on
go
that
into the
menu. But
menu.
yeah, well, why not? Like, I have to go into
Yeah.
the actual main menu to just like when you select a different sword or a shield or whatever, where you press the direction on D-pad, you like let go, and that's selected. That's but like for the items, you can see them but not select them. I'm like, am I missing something? Or
Unless if you're already holding, because like, so to throw an item, throw a fucking a bomb or whatever, you don't go to that menu first. You press the right bumper RZ, whatever it is, first to like ready to throw whatever weapon you're holding. Then you bring up the item menu and select bombs, and then that weapon will have been switched with a bomb,
Oh, I didn't know that.
which
Okay.
feels weird.
yeah,
Yeah,
Because it's like I don't like. Why are you telling me to like prepare to throw something I don't actually want to throw and then swap it for something I do? Do you know what I mean?
right.
So that's weird. And then so like when you say you want to fuse something to a weapon, but then you've just done a fight where you've been fusing stuff with your arrows. Those are completely different types of items you're going to be doing, because like your arrows, you're going to be using like fire seeds or bombs or whatever, and then you bring up it's just that same list of items. Like, okay, there's the different sorting options which help a bit, but it's you're looking at that same list and you're just like, right, well, why am I looking at fucking seeds and bombs and shit? I need like animal horns or whatever to stick to this sword.
That's
then
the problem in it, because there's like 30 things in that list or whatever, and it's like
Yes.
scrolling
Oh,
through
there's
it.
so
It's
much,
quite
yeah.
irritating. It's especially in the heat of a battle. It's quite
Yes.
annoying to do that.
I've played about 20 hours, I would say. I had Friday booked off, so that's why I've clocked up so much. And I'm still, maybe just about, but I up to the first like 15 hours, I was still throwing my bloody sword all the time. It felt like bumper was like the
when
thing
you're trying
to do.
when you're trying to select your ability, for
Yeah.
some reason my brain can't go. That's on the left
Yeah.
your bumper and not
Yeah,
the right
there's
one.
been a bunch of times where I've done the wrong thing, selected through a sword. The amount of swords I've thrown in this game in battle is unbelievable. And and like other times where I've like selected the wrong thing and stuff. Or if you've got like you got like the arrows out and you're trying to select something to attach to it, like a bomb or fire seed or whatever, and like select the wrong thing. Is it down to escape that? Like it is fiddly, but and I think we also need to talk about the fact that jump felt really weird on the original button. So I've switched jump
Well, it's
and
the same as the last one, wasn't
jump
it?
and dash.
Yeah,
I think it is.
on X.
First, like
that
jump
was
is on
always a-
X and then dash is on B. Yeah.
because I think we need to say, like, we haven't actually mentioned, like, we haven't talked about this game together at all in our WhatsApp. We wanted to save it for the show. We haven't talked about it on social, but I did say on the Friday, look, I've got one question. Was there a big thing in 2017 where everyone agreed the original jump button's in the wrong place and actually, so I switched
when
it.
you
It feels
think
a lot
about
better.
it logically, it does make sense, because everything you were doing with that B button was to go down, so letting go, and and everything you were
Yeah.
doing with the Y button or whatever it is on that
X
system
button.
X or
Yeah.
whatever, you're going up, right? So you're jumping and you're climbing and all that sort of stuff. So I could kind of see the logic. It just didn't work for me. So
I mean-
switching out early doors was a must for me, I think.
I'm a little bit disappointed that you can't customize the controls a bit more, really, with that, because I still
Right.
I've switched those round, so I'm using jump, with the B button because it just feels better to me. But then I still find using the X button for like running or whatever, it feels awkward to do that.
Yeah, it does feel awkward.
And
yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
you wanna
why I was
take your stick in.
hoping. Well, this is why exactly. Why can't I just like change it so that I just push the left stick
Maybe
in?
you can. Maybe you can though, because can't you just completely customize the buttons on the Switch like
Oh, you can,
Yeah, but then that would change them for every game.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, we're back. We're back.
We're
We
back.
should be back on. Is everyone hello? Does everyone see us?
Yes, I think they can.
Cool.
Not sure where we were.
Okay. We are back, says Pubis. We are back. We were talking about the controls, right? So if I go back to the OS stuff, sorry about that. The stream just crashed as usual.
Yeah, I was hoping to see the back of that, but then but I do actually need to update OBS to the latest version, which I can now safely do. So maybe that'll help.
Obviously, if it keeps crashing, we will stop streaming and we'll just go to doing the thing. But I think we should be all right. I mean, we got an hour and a half out of that before it did anything bad, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, right. So let's go back to this. Yeah, can't you just can't you do that from a system level on the Switch, changing the buttons, or
You can, but then that would be set for every other game as well. So
right.
Yeah, but who's playing another game right now? This is it now for
That's true.
200 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
point.
if you're putting
Minimum.
another game into your Switch, then you need
Yeah,
you
you need to go. Yeah, someone is doing the police basically.
Yeah, so with that stuff out of the way, I think it's a bit wild to talk negatively about it because I think the intro and stuff, obviously it's all valid points, but actually there is right. So can I talk about where I'm at in the game?
Yes.
Well, this is what I found really interesting because people have been like asking me like, "Oh, where are you up to?" And I'm like, "Fucking, like you say, once you land,
it's
it's
wild.
like here's like 4 or 5 different objectives, all of which I've ignored."
Yeah, everyone's
for 20
finding it
hours.
their own way.
Okay, so let me rephrase that. So I'll let you know what I'm doing in the game. So I went straight to, is it Death Mountain? It's Death Mountain, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Gorons
The
are.
Goron place, yeah.
Yeah.
The Gorons are. I went met up with my boy the Gorons instantly, and I think it's there are dungeons in this game. Essentially, there are segmented parts of the game that you go to, and it says this is a temple or whatever it is. They have floors. They not problems. I mean, they're literally like different levels of the of the thing. There are puzzles to solve. There are battles to take place, and there are bosses at the end of them. Right? They feel way more fluid than normal dungeons because they're just part of that world essentially, and you're walking into it. So the one in the Goron one is a fire temple, right? And it's literally called a fire temple. And I've got to say, it is not good. I really struggled with that area, and going back to the ascension ability. That partly screwed it for me because there are different levels, and there were moments where I was like, "Well, I don't know what to do now, but it looks like I can ascend here, so I'll go up here." And I was like, "Right, okay," but now I'm completely lost, and it's kind of a maze of like sort of rails and mine carts and all that sort of stuff. And if you get lost in that, there are certain sequences that you have to do to get the rails to line up where you're supposed to go next. But if you break through to another level too early, you might miss certain switches, and all of a sudden you're completely lost and you don't know where to go and you don't know how to get there. And I spent way too long on that. And then honestly, when I was in that area, I was kind of like, holy shit, I feel underpowered. Like everything's kicking my ass. There's a bit before you reach it which can reduce your health, your maximum health, which
really
wasn't good.
It's not permanent though, right?
No, you can get that back, but
it's
the
a
point
faff.
that I was in, I was facing a boss with reduced health.
Right.
And that boss is not easy, right? It took me a fair few attempts, but I did it. And when I did, I felt great. And then once I did, I was back into the overworld instantly going, oh my God, this is what I love about the game. And I did do a quick Google to see what people's impressions were of the Fire Temple. And apparently it is not well received compared to the others. So I'm quite happy to think, or at least to have the feeling that I've done the shit one and now I can go and try the other. So what you've done one of the temples, right, Matt?
Yeah, I've done one. I've done the Wind Temple.
And was that good?
I thought it was excellent. I
There we
mean,
go.
maybe it's not quite up there with what we would class as like, a classic dungeon in, like in the older Zelda games pre Divine Beast, but I thought it was excellent. It was a total like it was an epic journey to get there because the Wind Temple is in the snowy area, and I did not have the proper the proper equipment
Right.
to do it. But I
Wait,
was
hold on.
so
What? Really?
as in like
Aren't you giving that at the start of the game in the
Yeah, you
tutorial?
get the.
Area?
Did you not get
yeah,
the arcade?
I
snow
didn't
clothes?
Forgot.
find them. I didn't find them initially, and
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
someone told me about them. So
What, you
I
didn't find them in
no.
tutorial
The thing is,
area?
in the tutorial, I went through that tunnel where like they are, and I just didn't see the chest basically.
So
I'm
hang on,
like,
you're talking about the snow pants, yeah?
Yeah,
just
snow pants.
snow
Well,
pants.
because they're not in them on their own, and that's not enough for a lot of the snowy
It's
areas.
not. No, it's not enough.
So-
So I
Right,
I was struggling
okay.
anyway, and I was making a whole shitload of meals to survive. For just 5 minutes really. But I didn't want to quit, and I thought, I'll just stubbornly push on. So that whole kind of area took me hours and hours and hours, but it was a brilliant kind of journey to survive long enough, and then to get through it. I thought the temple was great. It was fun to get there. It was fun to learn. I mean, I think there was a lot of kind of trial and error to work out where I was because I was also getting lost at points because again,
Okay.
lots of different floors, lots of different things to try and find in this area and things to unlock and puzzles to solve. And I'm like, have I been there or have I not been there? How do I get here? But I thought it was excellent. I thought the boss was awesome. The whole area was great, and I can't wait to see more of them really.
And of course, I mean, it's so fascinating to me that the game's set up like this. And I think it's incredible, really. The fact that clearly from the start of the game, there are several temples that you can, like, because traditionally with Zelda, they will have dungeons and you've got to go to this one first because you need this ability to get into the second dungeon.
Yeah.
And so it is very linear in terms of which dungeon you should be going to because you but in this game, it's like you've got all the abilities. Now you can go to whichever one you want. And I'm kind of hoping that actually, because how do I put this without completely fucking it? Once you complete a dungeon, you might see why the next one would be slightly easier than it would have been, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's
You know what I'm
interesting.
saying?
Because
Yeah, I can see that.
because broadly speaking, I've found this game absolutely solid.
Oh, really?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I am
Hard.
getting fucking killed a lot.
Okay, but then I'm not engaging with the combat hardly at all. Really, I'm running away from
Right.
everything at the moment.
Okay.
Because I just think I'm sick of like my things breaking and stuff like that. But also, it's quite easy to get away from pretty much every enemy.
Yeah.
No enemies caught me up.
Yeah,
Up with
yeah.
it.
Well, in me trying to survive in the snow area with not only was the snow killing me, but then I had like much reduced hearts because the snow was eating
Right.
anyway. I've probably died more in that area than I probably did in Elden Ring. But I was still having a great time. Like, I had died for a
Well,
while.
because
This is not so bad. I was like dead. I was like fucking hell. But I, again, stubbornly pushed through, and I'm glad I did it.
Because this is what's
for the journey.
interesting is because obviously I don't remember having that much trouble with Breath of the Wild difficulty wise, whereas this is like I'll just be, traveling about. Oh, there's a little enemy camp. Oh shit, they're the sort of dark grey enemies. Fucking hell, they can kill me in one hit.
Right.
And I'm like, is that the game telling me I'm not supposed to be able to be here yet, or is it, lol, we've played Elden Ring, let's have a go at that? Like, so,
No. I think personally, I think it's not that you shouldn't be in that area. It's that you shouldn't be engaging with combat in that area. I think
Yes.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any part of this game where it's like you should not be here yet, right?
Mhm.
But as I said, I've just been running away from everything, and now that I've finished the temple that I did, combat is quite noticeably easier now.
Right.
And I'm
right.
thinking, right, okay, I've got something here that's I'm not as scared of enemies as I was before I went down there. And that's such a good feeling. It's kind of freeing because I'm not shitting myself every time the music changes now. I'm kind of like, right, okay, I can take this on. I'm going to give this a go. So yeah, that's been a big thing for me. But yeah, I some people within the chat have said I'm surprised how negative you've been, and I don't want that to be the overall reflection of my view of the game so far, because everything outside, like, I don't look back negatively on the tutorial because I just go, well, no, I have to go through that. That's part of it, right? You have to
Yeah.
go through that tutorial. You have to understand it. And although I didn't like the fire temple that much, I know that I've got better ones ahead of me. Everything in between has been incredible. Seeing stuff that has blown my mind already, and getting that feeling of being in a big open field with the sort of, well, I can just go anywhere and do whatever I want now. I have sat there and thought I will play this for 10 minutes and sat there for like 2 hours, because it's got that sort of, what's over there,
Yeah,
where can I
there's
go
always
next?
something else to see or do, or okay, I'll add that to my list. I'm going to go there next, or I'm going to see that, or oh, what's over there, and then you get lost, distracted along the way. I mean, I
And
know
it's
we've talked
funny
about
because
some. Sorry.
It's funny because one of the things that I constantly read on the reviews leading up to the release was, yeah, the at ground level it's all very familiar, and I haven't felt that at all. I've seen an area that I was at, that I'd been to before in the last game, and it just looked wildly different, like wildly different for story reasons. And I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't feel like
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
back in
I guess
that map
it
again.
depends, because I know some people were playing Breath of the Wild up until last week. I've
That's got to
touched
be
it,
it, right?
yeah, like I haven't touched
Yeah,
it for
yeah,
5 years, so I don't remember the world well enough. But yeah, certainly, like upon landing, my first impression was like, "Fuck, it's good to be back."
Yeah.
Oh my
Like,
god, I'm so with you, Sean. Like,
which I was not expecting. I was worried this was going to feel like overly familiar, and it doesn't. And the ways in which it is ways in which it is familiar are nice, right? They're like,
yes,
it's like, oh shit, I remember this now.
yeah,
My only
Yeah,
complaint in terms of like repetition, if you can call it that, is that like all the clothes are the fucking same. Like,
Oh, of course, yeah,
and
yeah,
it even
yeah.
makes
They
a
are,
point
aren't
of
they?
being like, there's a whole like chain of side quests which are about this like legendary clothes designer. Like, oh,
yes,
he's stashed all these stuff in these dungeons, like here's like rumors about the locations, and you go there and it's like, oh, it's the barbarian set, okay.
Right.
Or whatever. Like, they're all ones that are familiar to you, all still useful, obviously. I guess you could say, oh, well, what did you want Nintendo to do? Just remake armor sets that serve the same purpose and make them look different?
Yes,
I think the
yeah,
answer
I'd
is
like
probably
them to
yes.
do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
I
Yeah.
know what you mean, Sean. Like, and Matt, like about especially like you start the game up, and then it's like you dropped into that world, and it's like this feels wonderful again.
yeah,
And it's like, but then you have that, and then you just like, I remember this feeling from like all that time ago, and I just remembered I've not had this feeling since then, and
Yeah,
which is incredible.
yeah, oh, totally.
You know,
Totally. Yeah, nothing has managed to capture this.
Yeah.
no way. And
But,
yes, you can
but this game
say,
does, yeah.
yeah, yes, you can say it's the same locations, but I'm actually like excited to, because I didn't play in the DLC for Breath of the Wild, so once I finished it, didn't really go back to it. But it's exciting to go back to. Oh, I vaguely remember this place. I mean, my memory is terrible anyway. I'm like, oh, I remember this place, and it's just amazing to see how it might be different. But I mean, I genuinely got a bit emotional when I started playing this on the Friday. I don't quite know why. I think it was like I was just transported back to 2017. Whether it's the music, whether it's just the location. Oh, or the possibilities. I'm not sure, but I was like, it wasn't like, getting choked up, but there's some emotion stirring for some reason. I'm like, and it was just amazing to be back. Absolutely amazing. I was like, I didn't read any reviews. I saw the scores. I was relieved that, they were so positive, all the hype, all the excitement. And it's just amazing to be back in that world. And I'm still loving every second. Just, all the things we loved in 2017 are still there. They feel like there's more of them. There's more possibilities. There's so much more creativity in everything you can see or do or build or achieve. I mean, we haven't talked about the shrines yet. I mean, I'm fairly convinced at least 70% of the shrines I've done are not the ways Nintendo, were convinced it was done.
That's
And
it.
everyone
Yeah,
has the
I had that.
same. Everyone has the same anecdote, and that's when you know it's good. Where everyone's thinking, "Oh, this is definitely not the right way to do it," but I'm doing it this way. I built a massive bridge. I built
That's
a
what's so
massive
fantastic
stick.
about it.
That's what's so. The possibilities, the
building's
creativity
nuts,
is
right?
amazing.
The building
Yes.
is really good fun, and
It really is.
yeah, it's. I think when 90% of your builds work the way that you're going to, and the other 10% you can see why they didn't, is a huge thing. And the way it slowly introduced you to different ideas and different things that you can piece together is absolutely fantastic. I had a really cool moment literally today where I needed to get to the top of the cliff, and when I looked up at the cliff, it was pretty flat. Like there wasn't one of those situations where it's like you can climb up halfway and then rest and then
Stop,
climb
yeah.
up the rest of the way or whatever. So I found a bit of wood and attached 3 rockets to it and fired the rockets off while I stood
go.
on the bit of wood.
Yeah.
Off he goes up into the sky, jump over to the and climb up the last bit. And I was like, yes, mate, this is about as good as it gets. Or with the fact that it works in the shrines as well, where the example I got was finding a bird thing in one of the levels and like a glider.
Yeah.
the wing,
one
yeah,
of
the
the
glide,
levels.
yeah, the wings.
Yeah, and then just ripping off the control panel from the cart and putting it on that, and then just controlling the glider across through to the end. Even though there was this whole puzzle about getting a ball and putting it in a slot and doing this and doing that.
Well, yeah. So
Skipped
I
it
did
all.
one with a ball,
Skipped it
and
all.
yeah, there's a shrine I went in, and basically you got this like huge metallic ball, and there's rails, so you have to like find a way to get it going down the rails. Did the first one, it's fairly obvious. The second one, the rails were like too wide for the ball, so you put the ball on, it just fell down into the massive chasm. I was like, okay. I don't know how to do it. I investigated an experiment of some wood. I was like, I just can't do this. I'm not sure. So I just built a massive stick, basically. Bought a massive stick, put the ball in the stick, and lifted it over the chasm. And it's like, I don't know. But I love to know the real solution for that.
That is one of the things, though. Massive stick often works.
Yeah,
It really does.
yeah.
Well, because that was one of the first ones that I was not like impressed by, but just when you have that little leap of like, oh, I wonder if. And then it did work. And it was just literally, I was bridging a gap and I only had enough logs to like just make it, right? With like one run of logs. And I was like, yeah, but if I get on this and it starts to fucking roll, I'm in trouble, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on a minute. Couple of twigs, just made like some little legs for it at one end so that it wouldn't roll. I was like, yeah, brilliant.
Love it.
Have you guys done the one with the cars that are like going across like from side to side, and there's like these little rockets on them, and then basically it's like it's trying to say, okay, you need to build one of these to get through this area. But then I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take one that's already been pre-built and just lift it off the thing and just dump it there and use it. And then you get to this point where there's like a gate which is like where you open by pushing like a what's it called, like a spindle kind of thing. But it's one of those things where if you let go, the gate closes again. Right. And then I was sitting there and like Ash was watching, and then he was like, "Oh, I did this in like like whatever way," and so then I just pulled off like one of the like the rockets from like the car, and then just like attached it to the spindle, and then it just like went like this really fast. And he was like, "Oh, I hadn't thought of that." I was like, "No, I didn't."
Yeah, I'm not really.
It feels like with these abilities, especially with the building stuff, it makes for way more interesting shrines than there was in the last one. I think with the last one, it was still playing into the fact that obviously it was available for the Wii U, but it was still playing into the fact that there was a lot of gyroscope ones and all of this sort of stuff. And there was, I mean, I've had a few combat arena ones which are fucking annoying, right? Especially
I quite like the ones I've done, but
yeah, I've done a
have
couple.
you done the one where there's ones like lobbing bombs at you constantly?
Oh no, that does sound shit.
Right, that's it's just really frustrating. I mean, obviously, all you're doing is using the time mechanic to fire them back at them.
Right.
But there was several. I mean, I'm such an idiot. The amount of let's go back to Fuse a minute. The amount of stupid shit I've done with Fuse and not realised what the problem is. Like, hey, there's a big flashing rock here. I'm going to fuse that to my weapon. Oh, I'm dead. Why is that? Like, and not realising that the rock was about to explode and fusing it to your weapons are probably, and holding that weapon's probably not the best idea. Being down in the hottest place in the whole game and getting a bomb out. It's just the most stupid thing to do, but I did it about 8 times and got furious every time Link blew up. So it's got all that sort of environmental.
Speaking of Fuse, I fell down a well and there's no way out, but I saw this like giant rock like blocking a way, and I was like, I can't. It wasn't cracked. I couldn't blow it up. I was like, what to do? I was like, oh no, I just fused that rock to my thing and I push it open.
Because I've had a few
like
enemy fortresses where like
so clever.
When you get near the gate, they roll out like a boulder or a stick.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah,
and I was just like, yep, fuse that with a stick. Thank you. I'll take that and then just beat the shit out of them with it.
Yeah,
fucking great.
It's so clever.
But
Sorry.
what I'm saying is that when it comes to the shrines, it feels like there's way more possibilities than there was in Breath of the Wild. It
Mhm.
feels like, as you said, like Breath of the Wild was very much the only one that really sticks out in my mind for Breath of the Wild was the maze with the ball. Whereas
Yes.
you would control the ball to get over the maze and
Mm.
get the ball into the hole. Whereas if you flipped your pad right
Yeah.
the way upside
Yes,
down, you
Just
could
flat.
you could,
You
right,
Yeah.
could just roll it. Yeah.
it feels like there's way more of those instances in this,
Mhm.
and it really does feel that you're breaking the game at times. Like it's great that they seem to have incorporated that into the shrines.
Yeah.
I am finding it harder to find the shrines though. Are you? Like I remember Breath of the Wild, you could stand on a high mountain and go, "There's 8 shrines that I need to do." Here, I've not had that moment.
You want to
I'm
do that
like,
thing I said with the tower?
That's
"Well,
true.
fine, yeah, you're
'cause
probably
you can see
right."
little
Well, as in
Yeah.
like seeing them from a high vantage point. Is that what you mean, or
Yeah,
just?
Yeah. They were way
Whereas,
more
yeah,
visible,
generally
I
there's-
think, in the
Yeah.
last
Yeah,
one.
whereas generally you'll only see sort of 2 or 3 at most from a high vantage point in this
No,
one.
I don't
Yeah,
think I've even seen 3.
yeah.
Like,
I do wonder if there
I
are
find them hard to come by.
less of them.
Is there? Is there
I
less
don't
of
know.
them?
Yeah,
I
are
don't
there?
know. That's what I'm saying. I do wonder though. I think you might be right. Because in
Yeah,
the it's in the last game, were they fast travel points?
Yes.
Were they?
I'm pretty
yes,
certain-
yeah, you could.
Okay.
Yeah, you could.
You can now though. Like once.
Yeah,
you
you
No,
can,
no,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if maybe there's fewer of them now because now they're fast travel points. But if they were in the last,
No,
one,
because
then
that was what
doesn't-
was so great about them. That every little village you come across, there'd always be a shrine
Be a
next to
shrine
it
there,
because
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
easy to fast travel there and
Yeah.
stuff.
I should say, and I'm going to dance around this because I know we started out saying, we're going to spoil some stuff. This is one thing I'm going to be really vague about because I really don't want to spoil it for people, because it's been really fascinating. There's another element to this game that not like the game does eventually lead you to it, but you can discover it earlier, and like if you're watching this on Twitch, don't say in the chat because I don't I don't want this to be spoiled for people. But it's just it's absolutely fascinating what they've done with this. And it's where it's what I've spent most of my time doing is like this sort of other element to the game. And
The
it's
sign thing, keeping the sign stood
Yes,
up.
yeah,
That's what
Mr.
you're talking about, right?
Addison, Addison, and the
Yeah.
president's signs. Yeah,
Yeah, I get. Yeah, no, you can
Um,
spoil that. It's fine.
yeah, they are great. They are great.
those bits are legitimately great. But yeah, I'm really interested for you guys to discover it. So we can start talking about it.
What
'cause
will I know it if I? Will I definitely know it when I see it?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a game
'Cause-
changer, is it?
I think so. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen it or whatever it is. Then, but
It's something they've managed to keep completely stum about,
Okay,
even
That's
though
amazing.
they surely must have been tempted to talk
Yeah.
about it. But yeah,
I mean, I knew so little about this. I mean, I what I did in the watching the trailers and the direct, but it feels like so much I didn't know, and I'm like, oh shit, so this means this, and I'm so glad I kept it that way. So glad.
Can I just ask? Has anybody? I'm not coming across any money ever, like rupees.
that's the thing, isn't it?
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
So,
go on. I think I know why, but go on.
in the area that I was in, I needed an item from a shop, and it cost 700 rupees, and I had 20. And I was like, I have not. And then it said, "Whoa, you can sell me stuff." And I looked at it, and I was like, "Everything's worth 3 rupees." Like, what? How the fuck am I supposed? But actually, funny enough, there was a load of rocks, like glistening rocks, in the area that I was. You smash them up, you get the diamonds out of that, or whatever, the precious stones out of that. They are worth
Yeah.
quite a lot.
Yep.
So if you're struggling for money, get the precious stones because everyone buys them for a high price. That's,
Yeah, I had no money and I was desperate for snow, snowsuit, snow hat, etc. And I just managed to chance upon someone somewhere who said, if you do this thing, I'll give you this. And that basically was a lifesaver that meant I can actually buy the snowsuit. But
that's
yeah,
the
it's
thing,
weird
'cause
because
that's
again, in previous games, you would just like, swipe all the grass and get like a few rupees, right?
Yeah,
But it's
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
thing in
that's
this
just
game.
not a thing. Yeah, and like enemies don't drop it. It's you basically get rupees from there's those like magical bunny things that were in the last game. They're still there, but then I don't know.
You get like 5, 6, 7 from them. You don't get much, do you?
but broadly speaking, outside of like armor sets, I've not needed to buy much stuff. It feels like, so you know the zonite, that mineral that you can now collect.
Yeah.
That is like way more important than rupees now, I'm finding, in terms of something I won't spoil, but also the fact that like that's how you expand your battery. And so then you can, like, any stuff you build you can use for like way longer. So I've like doubled the size of mine already.
Yeah, because I've seen those things, not the vending machine things, but there's other things where like, hey, if you give me loads of that stuff, I can build something else. I haven't investigated that yet, but I assume it's something to do with that. But the vending machine things are cool as well. Like,
yes,
there's
those
loads of things I've got
really
from them which I haven't even used yet.
You put in? Is it only Zonites you can put in there?
It's
or is it
Zonite
other
charges and something
stuff?
else.
Yeah, every time I put something else in there, it just spits it back out again. I thought
right,
it was like
okay.
you can put any material in there and
basically
it gives
you
some.
put zonite stuff in it.
Right.
So either whether it's chunks of zonite or the charges that you can use for your battery, they'll all work.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of them. I haven't used them yet. Like, but I'm saving them for when I may need one of the things I've got from vending machine.
You're gonna finish the game with a
hoarding
pocket full of them. Every
well, no, because it's really easy once you realize that that's how you. There's like different vendors you have to speak to. So there's the guy at the forge, and there's different forges dotted around, and that's how you get the crystallized charges, and then you have to take them somewhere else to spend them to expand your battery. Once you've sort of got that loop down, yeah, you'll start spending shitloads of zonite. So yeah, hold on to it for now.
Yeah, I've got loads that I just haven't investigated it really.
So yeah,
so
I don't think you need as many
Someone
rupees
just
as you
make
used to.
a fart noise.
Sorry, my mouth just sort of went like that.
Yeah.
I do apologise.
That?
I don't know what happened.
I was
think,
watching James's face to see if his eyebrows went up. Then, like,
I'm
his
just getting
demeanour
old.
changed slightly.
Start making weird noises. But yeah. I mean, what else? Fucking the little Korok guy that you have to take to his mate.
Oh yeah, the one that's like
funny because you know they're like in every. So for those who haven't played it, you know the Koroks, the little tree fellas. Occasionally you'll find one sitting around and he's got like a massive rucksack on and he can't move and he's like, I need to find my friend. And then you talk to him and he's like, yeah, he's over there, and there'll be like a smoke signal. And it's always like you could just pick him up and carry him over there. But it's always it's just far enough that you're like, yeah, but that's annoying. Why don't I instead make a rocket-powered sled and fire him off into the distance?
I think you can just attach a rocket to him and let him go.
Or that,
just into the sky. You know,
I sometimes like sometimes I'll make like a little car and fix him to the front, like he's in Mad Max Fury Road,
or like it's something on the front of like the dustbin van where they put like a teddy on the front. So there you go.
I mean, and obviously this has been a thing all over Twitter as well. People just torturing the poor fucker. So
I know, really.
Well, not in. I mean, in a funny way. You know, funny torture.
Funny torture.
Yeah, light-hearted.
I get you there.
Torture. Yeah.
I don't know what else to say at this point. I think it's not for me. If I'm being honest, it's not blown me away. It's made me feel. It's made me feel like it's giving me the same feelings as Breath of the Wild. But when I think back to Breath of the Wild, I loved the game, and then I completed it, and then I fell in love with the game, like beyond. Like that's after completing that game and going through the world at my own pace. That's when the game elevated to me to be one of the greatest of all times. And I think what excites me about this game is that it's already making me feel that this is going in that direction, right? So if I'm totally honest with you, no, I'm not sitting here going, oh my God, this is incredible. But I wasn't when I was playing Breath of the Wild at this point. But what I am feeling is, holy shit, this is totally living up to it. And if this continues to do it, my mind's going to be blown continuously, and I'm going to come out of it going, this is worthy of all the tens, you know. I don't know. I just think it's kind of disingenuous for people to pick this up in the first couple of hours and go, yes, it's back, because you're going, well, no, it's the systems aren't there that made the last game so good, right? And all right, fair enough. You can go, oh, this is reminding me of how good that game was, and that's totally
and I think you can have faith early on that it's going to grow in the way the first one did. But but I know what you mean. You can't say for sure at that point.
No, and I'd love to talk to someone that can tell me that they had an amazing time in the first 2 hours, because I don't know how you can, and that's not in any way a negative comment about the game, although it sounds like one, right?
Mhm.
It's not a negative comment about the game, because you can't do this any other way. The
Mm.
way they've done it is perfect. It's like it's like um uh it's like a film where for the first half an hour you're like, I don't get what's going on. But when you get to the ending, you need all that build up, right? You
Yeah.
need to
You need the
understand all that
context,
build
yeah.
up, and
Mm.
it totally makes sense why that film started that way. This is what this game's doing. And I
Mhm.
think as I said, as you said, Sean, you look at the opening of this game and go, oh, this is doing this right. This is
Mhm.
doing this right, and I'm getting those feelings that I got with Breath of the Wild. So I can only assume that that's going to continue to the
Mm.
point where I come out at the end of this going, I don't know how this gets beaten this year for Gotti.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, for me, the
you
first few
know,
hours were like, is this doing the same thing again? Is it doing it more or better? Like, how's this? Yeah, the first few hours were just like me worrying or nervous about, is this game really doing what I wanted it to do, or is this really better, or is it the memories of the first one imprinted on this? But yeah, so the first few hours I was just like trying to take it all in. There's so much to the world, trying to understand the systems. And how it kind of compared to Breath of the Wild. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it now. 15
do,
or
do you know?
15 or
Do you know
20
what's
hours in.
really important? Do you know what's really important though? We've got a bunch of new abilities in this game, and for each one, I've seen something amazing to use it with already. You
Mhm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
for one, I saw the fusing of a certain weapon, gave it a certain ability, and made it a really cool moment. I'll tell you,
Mhm.
it was one of those slabs. You know where you get the water fountains and you pour it in lava, and it turns the lava into a slab.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Have you come across that yet? So
No.
you can fuse that with anything basically. And
Mhm.
initially you think, oh, it's just like fusing a rock to it. No,
Mm.
it works like a massive fan. The first time I used it, I went up to an enemy, swiped my sword, and it blew a gust of wind and blew them off a mountain. And I was like,
Oh, that is
brilliant.
great.
You know,
Amazing.
the ascending stuff, working out how the fuck am I going to get up there? Oh, I press one button and I'm already up there. Brilliant. The building stuff, that thing that I mentioned with the rockets and the platform to get me up to a higher level, or the first time you realize that you can add certain things to a cart. I don't want to
Mhm.
ruin anything,
Mhm.
but where you add certain things to a car and go, oh my god, this is, of course this works like that. Absolutely brilliant. The new abilities are already showing me that they are worthwhile, and they're
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
they're not just I don't know, a gimmick. None of them are gimmicks. None of them feel like gimmicks. They all feel like excellently well executed and thought out abilities.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
that's
and even
that's
on
the
that first
most
island,
positive thing I can say
yeah,
about it.
even on that first island where it's it's the tutorial island. It's like, hey, you can like attach like these hooks to these like flat bits and put them on a rail. And I was like, this is
Mhm.
so cool. And, like, but
Mhm.
that was like the first hour or two of the game. What are the creations we're gonna have to build, or the creativity we have to
Well, have you
muster
seen
to
what
do things in the
people
end game?
have you seen what people have done with the mine carts?
No, what
Oh,
have I
go
done?
on.
So obviously you can fuse stuff to your shield. So people are fusing the mine carts to the shield,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
shield surfing, and you can like grind rails with it. Like it's
Oh,
Right.
shit.
Yeah,
Jet
I
Set
heard
Radio.
about this. Yeah.
Yes,
Looks
I did that on
amazing.
one of the
Sounds like it.
shrines. Yeah, well, basically, because I'd already been to the snow area at that point where someone told me about, I knew about shield surfing anyway, but I met someone who was like, hey, you should do this. And then, and then do it on a couple of like the rails in the shrine was pretty cool. But yeah, like the
Can I
creativity
ask you
in that
one?
first island was good. But what's it like towards the end of the game where you're going to really have to think differently to solve puzzles and
Yeah,
advance?
I hope it doesn't get to the point where it is like at the moment. Like, I don't want to get to a point where it's forcing you to create something massive. Like, it feels like that stuff should be,
Yeah.
hey,
Not
if you want
massive.
to do it, then it works and go for it. But I don't want to get to a point where I'm like, to get past this part of the dungeon, you have to create a robot.
Of
Because I
mech,
don't
yeah.
want to do that. Like, it's.
Yeah,
I don't
think it'll be
it's going
that.
to do that.
It'll just be
I
like
I don't think
thinking
it will do that
differently.
either.
I think there'll be
Yeah.
situations where you really do need to use a vehicle, but I think it'll be like, oh well, I'll make my usual car with a load of spikes on it or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I think it's
Right,
going to be
right.
pretty. I mean, so far. I mean, who knows, right? But
Can I ask you guys something? Because
Mhm.
I'm really interested. Like, have you guys got a horse now?
No.
yes,
No.
Several.
I've ridden them, but I've never actually taken one to a stable yet.
Have you not?
Right, okay. Because I had a problem where I tried to get on a horse and I couldn't even get close without it clattering me. So I'm wondering whether I need to do something before I'm able
were
to.
crouching,
No,
right?
no, you need to
Yeah.
go for the spotted
Yeah,
horses.
yeah.
Are the spotted ones easier?
They're much easier. Yeah, the
Right,
spotted
right,
ones
okay.
you can get on immediately. Don't try and get on any of the ones which are just one colour because they're unless you've got a lot of stamina or whatever, you ain't going to be able to stay on it. But
Right,
the
okay,
ones that are
fine.
spotted you can take right from the beginning. The only problem with those is that they're not very fast. And
Okay,
yeah.
fine. But yeah, no, I found one that had like a spotted arse, but the rest of it was one color, and I couldn't even approach it, even when crouching. It was just kicking the shit out of me. Yeah, it was getting on my nerves. But okay, maybe I need to look for a
I was
spotted
going to
horse.
politely skirt around this, but Chris has just put it in the chat. Have you been to stables yet, Dave?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Oh right. And do you not have a Breath of the Wild save anymore?
No, it's on that Switch, but it didn't recognize it because I'd heard that
That's
your
weird.
horses should be there, but mine weren't.
Okay.
So I
Interesting.
don't know, but I mean, I didn't play it on this Switch, but I transferred all my save games over, so
How weird.
it hasn't.
Yeah,
hasn't
I do
saved
not have
me
a.
up, which is-
I don't even have a Breath of the Wild save because when I played Breath of the Wild, obviously when it came out, and then my Switch fucked up, and so I quickly had to rinse it. And this is before the days where you could like transfer save or save it. So I don't have a Breath of the Wild finished save.
Right.
So
fair
I
enough.
have been. Everyone's like the stable. How cool is that? And I was like, well, I went and I, looked around
do
and
anything.
pony points, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think I must. I haven't actually checked, but I don't think that's going to apply for me. But
There's
it's
a very
cool old
cool-
Easter egg if if it does apply to you.
Do you remember where the horse god place is?
No, I've heard talk of the horse god, but I haven't investigated
So I haven't,
yet.
Oh,
I haven't,
yeah,
I haven't
no,
found
I
the horse
remember,
god,
yeah.
but when you go to the bit where he was in the last game, there's something there
Oh,
worth having a
cool.
look at.
Is that the
My
one where it
mem-
was like it was sort of up a mountain with the light shining out from it? Is that the horse god?
I don't know. No, I don't think
fucking
so.
remember. So long
You're
ago.
thinking of a lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
that's
I mean,
right, yeah.
my memory is so
Yeah.
bad of the previous one, so it's all like, oh,
Yeah,
new.
this is it.
There's like flashes of I recognise this slightly, but yeah, I couldn't say lore wise. Oh, that's different because of this. No, I just couldn't do that. But
We haven't
I'm
really
conscious-
talked about the sky stuff, right? Or like
Yeah,
the
so-
relationship with the ground and the
It's
sky.
not as
Because-
it's not as relevant as I thought it was going to be. I think.
I know what you
at this
mean.
point.
It's not. Yeah, you're not constantly sort of transferring between the two, but I quite like the fact that it's a big deal. I think in my head, I was like, from the trailers and stuff, I was like, if you're in one of the sky bits, can you just fall off, right? Or does it do the, like, oh, you fell a bit, sorry, we'll put you back on the platform, and then forget
That's
that
what it
ever
does
happened.
That's what it does
But-
in the tutorial area.
Yeah,
right?
but then the
Yeah,
rest
yeah,
of
yeah.
it,
No, you
like,
can just fall off.
and I started having these like amazing sessions where there's those sort of floating block things that you can use and you can attach whatever to them. They they
Yes.
disintegrate after a bit, but they sort of float by themselves. Just using a series of them and like attaching stuff to them and sort of flying between the sky islands.
yeah, I've done
and
that.
stars.
Yeah,
Yeah, and just that feeling of like at any point I could fucking fall off. And like, okay, I could probably I found a shrine, I could probably teleport back up. But just that sensation of like, no, this is it. I am floating this high in the sky, and if I fall off, I will fall all the way to the ground. Is nuts.
and again,
Right.
really impressive technically because
Yeah.
there was no
Yeah.
loading between sky and ground. Like
Mhm.
you can go all the way from there to the ground to a chasm.
Mhm.
We haven't talked about that stuff as well, but that's like another dimension to the game.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
I can't wait to
conscious
play
that
more.
we're going to be talking about this game for the next few weeks. And we've just done 45 minutes on it. So, we should
I
probably.
think it
move
deserved
on.
it. It's,
No,
you know,
I totally agree. It's the
hype.
biggest release.
yeah.
I just don't want to. I mean, I could speak another hour about this game, but I do not think it will be to anyone's benefit. So we will come back to that next week when we've all played a lot more. I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I'll move on
We
to the
only got
next
this on
game for next
Friday.
week. Move on to a new game for next week. That's it.
I've
Course
just
you will.
finished.
Course you will. Course you will. Okay, that's it for this week. We'll be back with more Zelda chat next week. But let's finish off with some questions, Sean. Should we get to questions?
If you want to send us a question, go to Sorry, brain just absolutely melted then. Yes, go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS.
Kicks back into gear then, though, didn't it? Do you hear
Back on form,
change
mate.
of pace?
Yeah.
Watch
lovely.
this.
Professionalism.
The only
Hold my
guy
beer.
left without a Switch
Coke.
says, "Hey fellas, I'm after some advice. You'll never guess what this is about." In the expectation that today's show will leave me desperate to play Zelda, should I be snapping up a Switch or waiting for the mysterious upgrade? I'm fortunate enough to not be putting myself out too much to buy it. Maybe only 2 or 3 meals a day for my sons will be cut out, but it seems like a fair trade. If you're in my position, what are you each doing? Love you, bye.
I wouldn't wait. Because it's going to be at least it's going to be the end of next year, like at the earliest. So
yeah,
I wouldn't wait.
If I don't think I still couldn't justify an OLED when I've got a perfectly working original Switch. But
Switch these days?
if it was to suddenly mysteriously break, I'd get an OLED in a heartbeat.
Amazon is a good benchmark.
It's a good shop.
So, see, they haven't got a Switch at all.
The what? They haven't got any
What I'm
Switches.
saying.
Sold
No,
out.
they haven't got. Whoever emailed in.
Oh, I
haven't
see.
got a
Sorry,
Switch.
no Switch at all. Yeah.
Okay, so they're saying an OLED at the moment is 300 quid, right? But how much is a Switch Lite these days? Because I'd
They're like
I'd say
220 with
No,
a game or
with a Switch Lite's about 179, I think, wasn't it?
200 quid. 200 quid on it's
snuck up.
That's still quite a bit, isn't it? For what is
it is.
I mean, I want it. I want the option of, docked. Even though, apart from Zelda, 99% of the time I'm playing handhelds. Yeah, this is why I got this Switch, for the ability to enjoy it on the screen when I want.
Price wise, to be honest, if that was like 150 quid, I'd be like, get a Switch Lite. Get one.
I mean, based off what they've sent in, sounds like they're rich as fuck. So I don't.
Okay, it's a bit judgmental.
I mean, their children aren't eating food, Sean.
I think that bit was a joke.
Was it? We don't know. We can never know.
If financially it's genuinely not a problem, then by all means get the OLED. It's fucking lovely.
Or just get any Switch really, because basically the next upgrade will be, as James says, at least 18 months away. So it's not like buy it now and there'll be like Switch 2 out next week. It's going to be a fair old while.
And obviously it's Nintendo, so there won't be any price drops between now and then either. I don't think.
No. Truth.
Might go up. That's a risk now, isn't it? We all have to consider.
Yeah. Yep. I'm surprised they haven't actually. No, Nintendo.
Right, Maria Mendieta says, "Dear TCGS, ColecoVision. A topic in educational research is whether the skills picked up when playing games like chess transfer onto other areas of life. The answer appears to often be no. However, I've often heard that players learn to read by playing text-heavy games like Pokemon. Have games ever taught you anything practical?"
I mean, we've had this one before.
Yeah,
right?
so I'll go to my default answer, which is it's basically if my car was ever on 2 wheels, I know I'll turn towards the ground, and that's what GTA has taught me. If my car was spinning, I would turn inwards into the spin because of Sega Rally. These are the things. It's really only car stuff that it's taught me, but I'd always think, if my car's ever on 2 wheels, turn towards the ground. Don't turn every way. You flip the car.
Noted.
My answer
never had to use it.
Is still from Life is Strange: True Colors, where if you're using a rice maker, then it's 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, and yes,
that is a good point.
Depends what rice it is. Yeah, okay.
I was going to say I normally go 1.5 cups of water for every cup of rice.
I've tried that on mine. It comes out dry.
Really?
You might like dry rice.
I just eat chips.
All right, Mr. Brexit. Mr. Brexit is back, our new character, that we're introducing to the TCGS.
To be fair, Dave, not that I've clung on to this for a decade, but you did once have a go at me for not eating normal food.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
You fry everything in Coca-Cola. That's what I mean.
That's true. That's not normal, is it? That's how you
what
end up
context was that? When
I think it was News Dad had given us some Iranian stuff. I can't remember what it was now. It's like Game of Bottom Dream or something, and you asked what I was eating. I told you, and you're like, "Why didn't you eat normal food?"
Oh my God,
it was a joke. It's fine. You were doing a joke.
Yeah, the context is out of that. But...
Okay, well, it sounds like it's stuck with you, so I apologise. James, what have you learned from a video game? Had to be charismatic.
Probably loads about
Yeah,
fonts.
Yeah, definitely about fonts. I've learned an awful lot about fonts from what was it? Was it Typewriter?
Typewriter, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Typewriter.
amazing.
What was what was one fact you learnt from that game about fonts?
Let me
Can't remember,
think.
can you?
Something about Garamond. There you go.
Brilliant.
Well, what do you
Right,
mean
we go.
something? You know, you
Great
got to tell
fact.
us a fact.
Yeah.
What's the fact about Garamond,
Oh,
James?
I don't know.
You've learned nothing.
We're proving Maria's
Great.
point.
It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
You are proving the point. I mean, it's just I'm sure I've learned something from a game once, but I don't know what it is. I'm
right.
sure it's happened at some point.
Education.
I don't know if this counts as learning something, but I've never had the attention span for reading, but then played Planescape Torment as a teenager and was like, oh, reading can be enjoyable, actually. Reading
you,
words
Planescape.
can conjure images and emotional reactions and all that stuff. Great. Who
That
knew?
was good.
Yeah.
Who knew? Next question.
The next question comes from Lovely Milkers, who says,
Okay.
"Dear TCGS, I wanted to start this by saying what a genuinely great podcast you guys run. As a recently new listener, I'm aware that the top Patreon tier is referred to as Full Nels. My brain assumes this is a jovial reference to the wrestling move, the Full Nelson, which I recently learned is also a position that can be utilized in copulation with your partner of choice.
Should
Like
I-
all of
Wait, hold on
Really?
before you move on, because it's a
Yeah.
different. It's a different.
Really?
I don't know what sort of lovemaking going on there, but
Really?
but just to explain for new listeners that don't know the story, it's called Full Nels, and you're right, it is Full Nelson, because originally when we started, it was okay. When we were originally setting up Patreon, we said, "What should we name the tiers after?" And I said, we should definitely name them after people in the industry. So you've got, the Cliffy B, the
Mhm.
Peter Molyneux tier, all of that stuff. And I
It
said
would have
the top
aged really
tier-
well.
Yeah.
The top tier. Don't come on, it was a good idea. The top tier, my idea was going to be Major Nelson. It was going to be called the Major Nelson. And Matt said, "We're not doing that. We'll get sued." And I went, "No, we
I don't
won't."
think I said that, but I was like,
not even
let's
his
not
real
do
name.
that.
Matt,
It's rubbish.
You 100% said we'd get sued.
We might
if
got
we
sued.
did that. Right.
Well, because I was
Absolutely
preparing for
not.
world domination. I was like, when we're like the biggest podcast on the planet, it's like,
we
we
know
have to
are.
We
change the
kind
name.
of are, actually, at this point.
And we're up there, yeah.
But
He's
so-
done nothing so far to us.
Matt said, "No, I'm not doing it." So I said, "Well, fuck you, Matt. I'm going to refer to it as going Full Nelson from now on. And I guarantee everyone will call it Full Nels because I will not let it drop." And what's happened? People know it as Full Nels. I win. Matt, you lose. We haven't been sued either. So go fuck yourself.
I mean, I changed it on the Patreon site as well, so it is officially Full Nelson.
You did. That's right. It's called Full Nels.
Unbelievable.
So that was it. The Nelson in Full Nelson was named after Major Nelson.
After the
So there
major.
you go. After the major.
Not a
Anyway,
military man,
sorry,
though,
that
is he?
wasn't the end of
He
the
hasn't earned
question,
that
was it?
title. Lovely Milkers goes on. Like all of you and the majority of people listening to this, I've started Tears of the Kingdom this week. The building mechanic, in my opinion, is genuinely groundbreaking and opens up a completely new level of creativity over what Breath of the Wild provided way back into 2017. Considering the banality of most open world games that are now released, I can see this type of mechanic possibly becoming a trope in future games of this genre. My question is, what other games have created mechanics that have essentially become a standard in their respective genre? Bonfires acting as checkpoints in every boss fight, having a huge health bar on the screen, are two very obvious ones that have been ripped from Dark Souls. And need anything be said about nearly every kart racer out there essentially being an inferior clone of Mario Kart?
Oh god,
Please
you're
keep
so
up the
right.
great work.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, we're going to see like a million games that are going to have fuse mechanics in them, aren't we? Like, that are going to be coming out.
I don't know, man. Maybe.
I think we will.
No, because we've seen this mechanic in fusing in terms of weapons.
Yeah.
Possibly. I'd say rewind mechanics in racing games. Do you remember that? Like that wasn't
Yeah.
a thing, and now it's in pretty much every
Yeah.
racing
Mhm.
game.
Also, like the health stuff. Was it Halo that introduced that of like shield regeneration rather
Yeah.
than
It
Yeah,
was
health
shield
packs and stuff.
regeneration with health
Yeah.
underneath it.
Because
but then-
in
but
Halo
then
1, you
Call of-
still picked up health, didn't you? But
Yeah.
that was separate to
right.
your shield. And
Yeah.
but then they
whereas
just did
Call
away
of
with the health
Duty, I
thing,
think, took that idea and said, "No, let's get rid of health completely."
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Bless
Sorry,
you.
excuse me.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'm really ill. So yeah. For me, it was that setting waypoints as well, like the beacon, the light beacon stuff. I can't remember who did that first, but in open world games, that's
Yeah, I
kind
don't
of
know
become a
actually.
thing.
Aiming down sights. That never
Oh
used to
God,
be a
was that
thing.
Call of Duty as well?
That might have been Call of Duty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
sort of made it like there were other games that arguably didn't really need it, but they just went, oh well, let's
Halo
just make
added it.
Yeah, and it's like, oh well, let's just make your accuracy really shit unless you aim down the sights. Actually,
Halo did need it eventually, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Aiming down sights where it's at. It makes sense because you need
It does,
precision
yeah.
and you need. It's a difference between looking and aiming, right? There's a huge difference between that. So, it totally makes sense that become a thing.
I feel like maybe I've just imagined how big an effect this had, but Max Payne introducing bullet time.
I mean, it was that and the Matrix, but
But beyond that, it wasn't actually that wide. So I think that felt like a thing. It's like, oh, this is going to be in everything now. Where in reality, not loads of it.
yeah. I mean, just like we've definitely answered this question before, but the Nemesis system, I can't believe that wasn't nicked. That wasn't in every
Well, I'm
game.
assuming it was copyrighted.
It
right?
was
It's gotta be
copyrighted, yeah.
copyrighted.
Was it?
So, yeah.
The copyright on it,
And even they didn't do a good job with the follow-ups, did they?
I think the second one was all right, wasn't it? Just crammed with loot box shit and
Oh yeah, of course. It's that
I think
period.
they since removed it, but even so,
God, that first time you played Max Payne and you did that bullet time, it's fucking mind blowing.
Yeah, I love that on
People
PC. That was
people
fucking
really shit
good.
on that game, like the original game, and
Do they?
I just, yeah, they do. Yeah, there's a
No, I
lot of
think-
snark about it.
When it first came out, there was a lot of snark, I think, but then I think now it's
Oh,
been
really?
kind of I think people are much kinder to it now than they were when it first came out.
Yeah, it had some bad bits in it. I mean, the fucking blood maze and
nightmare,
everything was annoying.
Jesus.
But yeah, the first time you were walking through that subway station and I remember playing a demo over and over again because I couldn't quite believe how cool it was that you could bust through a door and go bang, bang, bang by the time you've hit the floor. It was so cool.
Yep.
So cool. Good shit. I
What
think
else?
loot boxes. That's
Yeah, remember
No,
them?
that's different. That's the thing. Right? That's them trying to make something a thing.
I mean, parkour, right? Like, and like when you look at like Jedi Fallen Order, you could, we've talked a
remember
lot
that
about the not Fallen Order, Survivor, well, either or, I suppose. Like, there's animations in that could have been ripped straight from Prince of Persia: Sands of Time,
right.
like the wall running and stuff, which isn't a dig at all. It's just interesting that you forget
they've
that
wall running since Titanfall, right? That's when they
Going through tiny cracks in the wall so that it could
Oh,
run
for
for
fuck's sake!
Um,
Can't believe that's not in there.
We're still doing
Zelda.
it in 2020. We've got
Why is that not in
SSDs.
Zelda?
We're still doing.
what was the other thing that you were talking about? Oh shit! Yeah. When was the first time double jump become like a thing? Because double jump,
And we
I
just
play games
instantly,
and I'm
our
like,
brains just went, yeah, that makes sense.
That was in. I remember Jack and Daxter having it. That was like it was.
That might have been one of the first.
But if you play like a platformer, or if you play and it hasn't got a double jump, you're like, what the fuck? Why would you not have a double jump?
But then when you think about it, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, it does. You kick against the air, James.
Famous. That's what you do scientifically.
That's what's really weird. That's what's really weird about wall jumps in that. We didn't talk about it, but Jedi Survivor, wall jumping in that's weird because in like platformers or whatever, you've got two walls facing each other and you jump between the two walls. The bits that you do that in this, you've just got the one wall and you jump up and back into that wall.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
doing
it is
that
weird.
together.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It. Yeah, it is a bit,
It's so
weird,
bizarre.
That. Yeah.
Another thing, obviously, Tears of the Kingdom does it is be able to add markers onto the map, your own kind of stamps. That's great. I want to see. I mean, more games. I think other games have done it, but I want to do more of it. Like that's just a great idea. I want to go there. That's my own little like kind of checklist. That's the only thing I can change it depending on what I want to do or what I'm looking towards, what my mission is.
Because like
Love that.
Assassin's Creed, I think, has that kind of thing, but it's like, why would I want to add even more?
Another
it's
checkpoint.
Because that's what's cool about because it was the same with Breath of the Wild, right? Is you could just look at the map, and you just like glance around and you'd be like, "There's something there. Looks like a fucking skull."
Yeah,
What's the skull?
Yeah.
I'm gonna. bang,
Yeah,
map marker.
marker
Yeah,
there,
that
yeah.
was so good in that game.
Mm,
Like, do you remember the first time you zoomed in Breath of the Wild and saw the maze?
Yep.
You were like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
someone tells you, there's like 4 of them. What? Yeah, it's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Loved it. All right, are we done here?
We're
We are
done.
done.
Yeah.
Matt, socials.
Yes, I guess the big one is TCGS Con North tickets go on sale Friday morning 9 a.m. Go to tcgs.co/TCGSCon on Friday morning to get your ticket for arguably the biggest event of the summer. In terms of socials, on Thursday, Sean will be streaming Vertigo 2, the VR game. He streamed it last Thursday. If you missed it, the VOD's on our YouTube channel. That
We'll
is
see how that
Thursday from
goes.
9.
It was a bit weird last week. I don't know if it worked. No one seemed. I wasn't enjoying it that much, and I don't think anyone else was either.
Maybe you should have streamed Pineapple on Pizza like I've been asking
Maybe
you
I
to do
should
for
have.
4 months.
Well, so what I'm going to say is this week I'll give Vertigo 2 another go. If that doesn't pan out, I'll stream some other VR stuff. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
We'll have enough time.
Pineapple on Pizza, yeah.
I mean, all that as well, yeah.
Look forward to that. Sure.
That is Thursday at 9 on twitch.tv/TCGSCo or search TCGS in the app. On Friday, James is streaming more Hitman. James also returned to that last week, and
No one
that's
else
on their
did,
YouTube channel.
but yeah.
Everyone was in Zelda mode, weren't they, James, on
Yeah.
Friday? So bit of a quiet one. Anyway, they're both on Twitch. If you have Twitch and you have an Amazon Prime account, connect your account. You get a free sub every month. Go to our channel. We really appreciate it, and thanks to everyone who's done that tonight. We're on Patreon. Patreon.com/TCGS. We've got an exclusive podcast. The bonus show probably be out in the next week or so. A video show for your consideration will be happening this month, and also the James special bonus show. And the website is tcgs.co for links to our gorgeous Discord community store. There'll be some TCGS Con North merch as well on Friday. I'm very excited. I'm probably going to buy a lot myself, and that's it.
It's good because I get cut of that. You just buy away, Matt. Buy away.
I'm going to buy the lot.
Lovely old job. Thank you so much for living it. We will catch you next week. Hopefully, you will be a ticket holder to TCGS Con North. Please come because
Please buy tickets
how
and
many
pressure me into
tickets.
figuring out how the quiz is going to work.
Yeah, we really hope that this is a success. So please buy
will be.
tickets, and we'll all have a laugh playing Laser Quest again. Catch you later. Goodbye, everybody. Love you.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.